Hey, what's up, everybody? It is good to see you, and guess what? I've missed you too. Technically, I couldn't hear you say that you missed me because I'm in a room by myself, but I'm just going to assume that you said you missed me too. Not important. What is important is you're here for the season premiere of Grappling Hour. That's right, we are in our 4th season, and you may notice some upgrades, some new lights, a new setup, a new camera, a new computer, new sound system, a lot of new stuff, but I promise you, it'll still be the same terrible show you're used to seeing. So what's going to happen is, over the next few weeks, you're going to see some trial and error on this show. If you like it, cool. If there's stuff you don't like, keep it to yourself. I'm pretty aware of what works and what doesn't on this show. But seriously, I am so excited that you guys are here. We have a fantastic show. Let's stop talking about it. Let's be about it. You're watching The Grappling Hour. Welcome to the show. It is fantastic to have you guys. I have missed you so much. Again, we've been spending our time learning new things, buying new products, trying out things behind the scenes so that we could be here today for the premiere of a show that I actually think is really good. I think we have some really solid interviews, but I do have some breaking news for you here, and I thought it would be important to open up the show with. The breaking news is this. This Saturday over at Commerce Casino, I will be serving as one of the commentators for Subversive. That's right, the team grappling event. You will see myself, Pete the Greek, and Jeff Glover. So, at the very least, it'll be something. I'm excited to work with those guys. I'm excited to return back to the commentary booth and tell the stories of grapplers. I do have one favor to ask of you because I never get the list. They don't send that shit out to anybody who does play-by-play. So if there is somebody that you know is competing on that event, do me a solid, send me some information. It can be true. I would hope it would be. It can be false. If it is, I'll make fun of you on air. But I would love to find out more information because I love telling the stories and I do my research, but I don't pretend like I know everybody. But I want to. So that is this Saturday, Commerce Casino. If you cannot be there live, and I hope you can be, I hope that you tune in on flowgrappling.com before they realize they put me on the air. Anyway, let's get straight to what's going on. First and foremost, we're going to get to our guest. Our first guest is Tim Spriggs, but we're going to be trying out some new remote segments, and we call these desk bits in the late night universe. And they're akin to a host maybe doing some comedy and doing some new stuff. For our first desk bit, we're actually bringing back a segment that we called the Think Jiu-Jitsu Game Challenge. How does this one work? It's pretty simple. We find somebody in the community that we think is really entertaining and funny, and we give them a deck of cards. On each card, there is a submission. Whatever they pull out of random is what they have to try and hit on me on a sliding scale of time. For black belts, we're giving them 2 minutes. So I'm excited to bring this game to life, and I said, I need somebody who I know is good and who I kind of fear. So I think we found a pretty game competitor in one William Tackett. Hey, what's up, everybody? I am here with one William Tackett. He just did a seminar over here at Checkmat headquarters. William, it's good to see you, man. How have you been?
It's good to see you, too. Been great. Just training and going through the jiu-jitsu lifestyle.
What brings you out to LA?
Leo Vieira here at Checkmat. He brought us down to teach classes this week and, just teach a seminar today and just get some good training in.
Very nice. I was happy you're here. I've been waiting to do this because of the whole pandemic thing. I haven't been able to interview people. You're my first person I have interviewed in person since the pandemic. We'll see about that. But I thought I'd play a game with you. I want to bring back a game that we used to do on this show. It is called the Think Jiu-Jitsu Game or Challenge. We'll call it that. The basis of this game is pretty simple. You get to pick one of these cards. You will have 2 minutes to try and land the submission on me.
Sweet.
What do you think your odds are? You've looked at what the submissions are, but you don't know which one you're going to pick yet. What do you think the odds are of you landing one of these submissions on me?
Well, it depends. I'm not warmed up, and
Okay.
I've heard you're really hard to submit. So,
Do you
we'll see.
believe that though?
I don't know. I guess I gotta just
You just
see
gotta
how it
kind of
goes.
see.
Yeah, see how it goes.
Figure it out. Is there a card you don't want?
No, I think they're all fun challenges.
Okay.
The baseball bat choke will probably be the hardest because we're wearing no gi, but that'd be fun to try to do.
All right, sir. Well, here's what's gonna happen. You get to pick one and only one. All right. Now, I can't know what this is. We are gonna go ahead, do this challenge. I'm excited about it. You excited about this?
Yes, sir.
I don't know. I think he likes the submission. We'll go right to it right now.
His face is getting red.
Your grip's still on it. Well, I think I know what it was.
Leggy locky.
You know, I'm pretty sure Andrew could do it. Wait, that. Baseball bat choke, huh? One you didn't want.
Well, the one I thought would be most challenging.
Was it?
Definitely challenging, yeah.
Okay. Did you at one point think that you had it?
Until my fingers started cracking.
crying,
Yeah.
I actually built that into my defense. I let my whole face go red to
Kind of gurgle a little bit.
you know, the problem was I was trying to do a joke, and normally I roast people when we do this bit. The problem is you can't roast when you can't talk because you can't breathe. So I discovered that in this iteration. What did you learn today? Well,
That no-gi baseball bat chokes I need to work on.
maybe. Do you feel like that's going to win you ADCC though?
No.
No. But you know what though? Here's what I'm going to do. If that wins you an ADCC championship, you will become a full-time sponsored athlete of the Grappling Hour.
Okay, sweet. We'll do
So
it.
I think that's what it is. Will, what can we plug for you? Where can people find you? All the good jazz.
Tackett_Jiu-Jitsu on Instagram. Check us out at Brazilian Fight Factory. Come on by, and yeah.
Appreciate that. I would thank you, but that was terrible. Let's never do that again. And if I give you all of the submissions, I'm very afraid of what happens when we roll for real. But my man, thank you, sir. I appreciate you, sir.
Me too.
All right, keep it locked here. We'll be right back.
It is pretty remarkable that of all things he could have picked, he ended up getting a baseball bat choke. And I will admit to you freely, it was very tight. The man has a very good grip, and I thought I was out of that move at least 2 to 3 times. But true to form, Tackett did apologize for almost murdering me. So that was very nice. You may have noticed about a week and a half ago, our first guest was able to win at a very prominent jiu-jitsu event. Maybe one of the few events that hands out a fuck ton of money. I don't throw that around, but $250K is a lot to win. So I was excited to get some time to chat with friend of the show, Tim Spriggs. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very excited about our first guest here for the, what is this, 4th season of Grappling Hour? It's been a long time that we've been doing this, but we're always excited when our friends go and do amazing things, even when they tell us something like they're retired and that they've come back. And that much like John Wick, yeah, they might fuck some shit up. And our friend here not only fucked some shit up, but got a very massive paycheck. And for that, I can't hate on him. So we decided to bring one of the winners from Who's Number One. Arguably, now he can say, best in the world, ? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show. Who's Number One winner? Tim Spriggs. Tim, how are you doing, sir?
I feel fantastic, and it feels great to be the best in the world. And I have the belt to prove it. I don't consider it a question at all. I believe wholeheartedly that I'm the champ, that I'm the best in the world. I'm happy to be back. It feels good to be out of retirement, at least for a weekend. And I'm just happy to be back on your show, man.
Well, I'm glad to have you back. And I love seeing you with that belt because so many people, they shy away from really embracing that I won something or I did something great. You, like, wholeheartedly not only bring the belt with you, which is what a champion should do. They should be flying through airports with it. They should be taking it town to town. But for me, when I saw you do the post-interview, I said, that's how an interview should be done. It's you cutting a promo. You hear the crowd responding pretty well to it. And that's the thing is, when you win over the crowd, I think you make yourself even more missed. So what did it feel like? So I guess we should start at the beginning. How did they get you back out of retirement? Because when we left off, you said there might be some things coming into play. And I said, well, that would make you a liar on verbal tap, but make your money.
Oh, well, the thing that got me was the paycheck, you know. They said $30,000, and I said, what? For a tournament, $30,000? Sign me up. So that got me out of retirement, man, you know. In these trying times, anytime that you can have a huge paycheck like that and have all the media attention, I figure, why not?
And that's the weird part is that for Flow Grappling, no offense, you don't scream like the first person they want to do a profile on. In fact, there are times when they were like, I think Tim might win this, that you could hear in the commentary that they were like, well, let's brace for it. Let's see what's going to happen. And I think that you delighted even them when you were cutting the promos. And I think that they seem to embrace the fact that the minute you come on the camera, you decide to pull a Goonies, lift up half of your shirt, and start doing that. Now, I, a man of culture, know some of the references for that, but for those who are less in the know, where is this coming from? Why are you deciding to strip up a little bit of the half shirt?
All right. I, growing up, was a huge football fan, and my favorite football team was the University of Miami Hurricanes. I grew up watching them. I actually would fly from Maryland to Miami to see one of their games in the old Orange Bowl. Huge football nerd. I watched all their games, even going back to the 80s. Like, I would try to find them. And what they used to do back in the day was they would wear a crop top. Like, they'd have jerseys that were cut off right under the pecs, basically, so you could see their abs. And then after practice a few years ago, I just started doing it, you know, like after no-gi, just because. And then it just became my thing. And I mean, the first time I posted it online was 2018 at the ADCC trials, but I've been doing it ever since. And it's just a little flair I have to who I am as a character. I mean, not really a character, but that's just me. And I've been doing it ever since.
I get that much. And I saw you do it at ADCC. And for whatever reason, it didn't necessarily make as big of an impression because we did an interview at that time as well. What really stuck out here was that this was definitely a choice, and the memes were very quick to turn around on this one. And I think the best of which was placing you into Rocky Hall of Fame. And for me, I think there's no better way to truly establish yourself as an athlete to be compared to anything involved in the Rocky series. So congratulations to you, much deserved.
Thank you very much. Anytime I can be compared to Carl Weathers, I'll accept it with joy.
Absolutely. And just for you kids who don't know, Carl Weathers, aside from being very hilarious on Arrested Development, is also developing and directing episodes of The Mandalorian. So the legend of Carl Weathers, not dead yet, still continuing to beast things as he goes. Anyway, dropping some knowledge. I want to go back to this, though. Okay, so they call you, you come in, walk us through that week. What does that week look like when you start to come down? Because you famously mentioned that you're only really training 3 days a week. And you and I have very different ways that we train 3 days a week. So as somebody who does that schedule, please inform me how that is now transitioning to getting into game mode.
I have to give credit where credit is due. My teammate, one of my best friends, he's basically my big brother, Ty Ryan Murphy, helped me throughout this entire camp. I asked him immediately after I got offered to do this tournament to help me. And we worked on new school jiu-jitsu. Every time I went to his practice, to his class that he ran at Crazy 88, we would just do new school jiu-jitsu. That'd be like new back takes, different types of guards, leg locks. And he knows my game better than anybody. And he knew that going into this, I had to be prepared to deal with leg lock guys with weird guards, and I had to get better. And by training 3 times a week, it forced me to go into practice with intent. I had expectations of me from him. I trained with expectations. I expected to try new things, and I didn't have the time to waste. Before, when I was training 2 times a day, every day, I would just go through the motions. But this time, every time I went to practice, I had to do the new stuff, and I wanted to do it perfectly. Every single time I did a rep when we were drilling, every time we sparred, whether positionally or free sparring, I made it a point to get into these new spots, expand my game, and if I just so happen to find myself in a new position, think my way through. So
okay. Yeah. Well, let me figure this out, because when you see the names of the other 7 people involved, some you've had matches with, some, provide interesting challenges. So when I see that going up there, and I see the Vegas odds, or that's, I guess, laughable to call them that, but when you see the odds, you're a good enough of a guy to know how to laugh at that sort of a thing. But can you recap for me, what did they have you as in terms of a betting odds for winning this thing?
I did not look at the odds before the tournament.
That's a good choice.
Because I don't gamble. And at the time, I was ass out. Like, I did not have the money to spend to gamble on myself, because I know going into any kind of sporting event, especially jiu-jitsu, and my history of piss poor decisions, I could not waste the money on gambling. So I didn't even know. But after the tournament, I found out that I was a plus 4,000 underdog to win the entire thing. Plus 4,000. That means if you put $100 down, if I'm correct, you would win $4,000.
Yeah.
That's better than Bitcoin as a return. Like, if you bet on me, that's better than Bitcoin. 100 for 4,000.
I always wonder how people come up with these numbers, and because jiu-jitsu is still emerging, a lot of the number making on this seems to be, yeah, okay, sure, that's a number. Let's go with that. Let's just see what happens, because we don't have enough people who are going to say, like, actually, here's how that number should work. So I understand. I get that it is a little weird in terms of what they're doing. But I also happen to know, you know what? Don't sleep on Tim. Tim's been around high-level competition. I get that some of those names are big and crazy to predict sometimes, but that doesn't mean you're at that much of a disadvantage. So let's start with your first match. What happens in your first match?
I go against Hasim Rita, guy's giant. He's NBA player size. And being in person against him reminded me of Bruce Lee versus Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in Game of Death. Because not only is he tall, but he's sturdy and he's athletic and he knows what he's doing. When I was hand fighting with him, I realized that his hands were about twice the size of my hands, and that wasn't fun. And I knew that I could not make a mistake when it came to hand fighting with him, and I could not shoot on him because I saw his highlight reel. I made a joke about it the last time he went on Who's Number One. I mean, he straight up guzzled him. Like it was like when Ron Artest grabbed that fan in the Malice of the Palace. That's what it looked like his last match on Who's Number One. And I knew that I'm not going to get put on the Summer Jam screen. I'm not going to get made into a highlight reel. I had to be technical and tactical, and I had to push the pace and impose my will. He got me in a pretty good leg lock attempt, but once again, Ty helped me tremendously with the leg lock game, as you saw at the end of the match. And I was able to get out and then continue to push the pace on him. The thing that I realized over this entire tournament, and definitely in the match with Hassan, was that when you stay relaxed and you push your pace and you know what you're doing, you can kind of wear down on the person, and then all the jitters and all the athleticism goes out the window. Then it's who can do their stuff better and who can impose their game. And I had to stay mentally sharp. Part of the reason why I think I did so well was that I didn't come in there with expectations, and I was content. As I said before in the last episode I was on, I didn't really care about jiu-jitsu to the point where it meant the world to me. It was just a thing that I did. And I just was very zen and very stoic about it. So when it was the last minute of the match and he puts me in 50-50, I felt in my mind like, oh, this is just like practice. I just had to go for a submission. And when the opportunity presented itself, I went for the 50-50 heel hook. And it was all she wrote.
And see, this is so great because I think this is admitting a lot, but I didn't at the time have a Flow Grappling subscription. So I had to be at the cusp of finding out from other people what was going on. So I don't know if I was training, but I don't remember where exactly I was. But I looked and I go, oh, fuck yeah. And I saw the mechanics behind it, and I said, man, all right. We're off to a good start for our weekend. So that's a very good place to be. Are you watching, though? I don't want to call it a circus, but let's just say that the Texas environment specific to this event, still post-world of pandemic, pre-pandemic, whatever you want to call what we're in still, it was a little weird because I was getting things as I was watching it going, I can't make this crowd out. This crowd is weird to me. But what does it feel like on the inside, not just from the crowd's perspective, but as you're watching the other competitors go, now that especially you've got your first win?
The atmosphere reminded me of a game show. Just because of the way it was set up and the stands and the music, and it was very dark. It's like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire type vibe in there. But in the back, it's kind of like a warehouse, like a big, empty, big box store. Like imagine Costco being completely empty, and there's nothing but TV monitors against the wall, and then 3 giant wrestling mats. It was pretty chill in the back. Oh, and they had like a massage therapist and like a backdrop where you did post-match interviews. So it was pretty relaxing to me. I'm not even going to front. It didn't feel like Worlds in the Pyramid where it was just insane, but you could definitely feel the energy in there was kind of tense. And I think it was because of the level of competition and the fact that there was so much money on the line. And I got to give them credit, Flow Grappling, for making it equal pay for men and women. And you could definitely tell the vibe in the room was it's getting serious.
Yeah, that was definitely something that I noticed as well, because I was looking at that and I said, hey, it is kind of nice. I mean, let's be real. As much as I like making fun of Flow Grappling, you guys making that kind of money is good for the sport. So, you know, whatever things I may like to joke about them or do that, I celebrate when I see you guys actually get paid. And to be treated that way, to have a massage therapist back there, which, by the way, if I were there, I probably would have snuck my way over to the massage therapist. Full disclosure. I would have been like, yeah, I'm in the one category. I'm going up not today, tomorrow. So can you help me stretch this out a little bit more? Okay, so that already makes sense. That's the vibe, and it does seem professional. I would ask this. There's one more that you got to get through that day, though, right? Because at this point, they've broken it up so that you'll get to semis, and then they'll resume the tournament the next day. But I guess it's kind of important that if you get the semis, you're pretty close to money no matter what. So there is some sort of importance to it as well in terms of advancing, especially at this time. So what happens in this match?
Well, against Tex, going into it, I was pretty relaxed because by submitting Hassim, I got $1,000. $1,000 that I really needed, but I was happy because the way the bracket was set up, it was designed for Keenan to win. If we're being honest here, like it was like a Mortal Kombat level tournament on my side, and then it was smooth sailing for Keenan on the other side. Like I had Goro, I had Zangief, I had Dollars, everybody in there. But going into the match with Tex, I felt confident because I had wrestled him before at Fight to Win. And he came to train at Team Lloyd Irvin before ADCC 2019. And I've felt him before. I felt his energy level. So going into it, I knew that he was going to try to leg lock me. He wasn't going to come up to try to wrestle me. And that I was going to have to pass his guard and I would have to push the pace on him once again. I was a little bit more mentally and technically taxing just because he's so dangerous. He has a viral video where he breaks a baseball bat with his arm like it's a leg lock. So I knew that I can't let him pull me in by the leg. I have to mush him or stiff arm him, get around his legs, leg drag, bullfight pass, run around. If he tries to entangle me, I disentangle and keep on attacking. And I get a lot of flack for this match, but you can watch it again. Every time I disentangle, every time I go to pass, it doesn't work. I don't back away. I reset and I'm back into it. And I consider this like being a hammer chipping away at a rock. And it's just like chip away. Ties in my ear, like, keep going, Timmy. Almost got him this time. And then I don't even remember the sequence. And if I watch it again, I watched it on the highlight reel. I still don't get it, but I pass his guard to north-south. And I'm looking there like, oh, holy shit. Like, wow, I actually passed his guard this time. Like, oh, okay. And I'm looking at Ty. I'm like, where'd I put my head? Because Tex is really freaking strong.
Yeah.
And he was able to regard because he's so strong, and that his thing is, I'm going to bench press this person that's got me in north-south, and I'm going to tuck my knees to my chest and spin in. And he was able to do that, but as the match went over, I started opening up more. I did guillotine attempts, footlock attempts, passed his guard north-south, and I ended the match with a footlock. And he kind of had a poker face at the end, like grinning, but I definitely had it in to the point where he couldn't just kick his leg out. But in my mind, at the end of the match, I'm thinking, oh, shit, well, it was a nice run, because judges' decisions, I have a terrible history of judges' decisions. I don't know what it is, but my history of judges' decisions is bad. And I'm like, well, you got $1,000, kid. I was like, I'm going to have to go through the constellation bracket. This sucks. But then I look straight ahead and I see a blue thing, and I'm like, did I win? And they're like, winner by unanimous decision, Tim Spriggs. And I'm like, oh, I won, yes. But in my mind, I was just super focused. I was super stoked. I was very mindful. I think the best part about my performance was my mindfulness, and I didn't care about what I did earlier in the match. I was what's going on at this second. And Ty had to remind me, I don't know what he's complaining about. Number one, he had every opportunity in the world to wrestle up, grab your leg and try to single leg you or try to wrestle up, or attack your foot. Yeah. He didn't really do any of that stuff. So mission accomplished by me, another W. And in my mind, I'm like, holy shit, I got $16,000, bro. No, more than that. I don't know what was second place, but I had already won more money by taking second than I'd ever taken in one day doing jiu-jitsu. I was happy.
Like I said, as you should be. And I still think, though, because, again, this match I ended up watching because I was able to get back a little bit later, and I saw some of the discussion about you that was happening online, and I just thought, okay, well, you were kind of making reference to what am I supposed to do? And the thought process behind some of the trolls on the internet, and I realize as I'm saying it, yes, the internet, is just, no, Tim, we, the collective jiu-jitsu internet community, want more exciting by you giving your leg to be broken by man with baseball bat ability to break things. That would be more exciting to us. And instead, it was like when I went to go watch the match, I said, no, I see the strategy and I see some of the adjustments you have to make. And I see, like, this is a tactical way to try and beat somebody who, if you slip at all, could be very dangerous and could end your day. So as much as I'd love to tell these people, you know what, you're so right. We should always just go and be entertaining. I know for sure that I'm like, listen, dude, you got to get past it. You got to get past this level. And once you get past this level, let's see. But you'd already given us a submission. So at that point, I was just kind of like, I don't know what the fuck these guys are bitching about at this point. I just shoot you a note and I'm like, just do your game. I'll probably talk to you tomorrow. Because at this point, I start to probably think what you're thinking, which is, I think there's a really good shot you're going to win this. But at the same point, I don't like to be overconfident. I just like to send a note of, do your thing. I'll talk to you later. And I guess I end up talking to you a little bit later because now at this point, match 3 comes up. What is happening in match 3? Because now it's that next day. Alex Jones is probably already roofied most people's drinks coming back the second day. Like everybody slept it off. Who knows what's happening there? If he can say weird things, I could say whatever I want and make it up too. Anyway, what happens on that Sunday?
That Sunday, we went to the venue at 10 a.m., just like we had done the day before, so that we could keep the same routine. So we did the same warm-up routine that we were doing before. I got a massage by the massage therapist, and it totally changed my life. It was like when Mario eats a power pellet. I was like, like, oh, wow, I feel great. Had a really good lunch, really good breakfast. The hotel they put in had a really good breakfast, too. And I took a nap. Wake up from the nap, and what got me ready for this match was, number one, I thought about I have an opportunity to shut all the doubters up. Because my whole career, they said a bunch of things about me. They said I couldn't finish nobody. They said that I'm not good at no-gi, all this stuff. And I thought about that and the money, but what got me ready was I watched Kobe Bryant's last game when he dropped like 50 or 60. I forgot how much. And I watched Giannis in the finals this year when he won the title for the first time. And I was ready. Turned on some music, Stone Cold Steve Austin's theme, DMX and Tupac, and mentally I was prepared. And right before, I was just like, screw this guy. Like, I don't care that he won ADCC and beat Buchecha. Like, I don't care about all this stuff. Like, I'm ready to go. Like, F him, basically. Like, I don't get, like, no disrespect. It was like, F him. I don't care about all this stuff. They didn't even think I'd make it this far. They set it up so he would win. I'm going to take him out. And the night before, Ty and I were talking about how we were going to finish this guy. We were like, we're going to heel hook him. So I go in the match, kind of strong, kind of fast. But I was prepared this time. I'd fought him in the gi a couple years ago. I felt how strong he was. But I was like, I'm sticking to my game. I'm ready. I'm going to treat it like it's practice. Relax. Be mindful. And when the time's ready, go for the kill. He locks up with me. He can't get a shot off. He pulls guard a couple times. And the whole time, he's doing his stuff that he did at ADCC. He's doing Kiss of the Dragon. He tries to lock me in a calf slicer. But since I've been working on the new school stuff and I was working on being relaxed in practice, trying the new stuff, when I was locked in and I couldn't get my foot free, I just fell to my back and tried to attack his feet anyway. He stands up. I don't know what sweep I hit him with. I try to go for like a matrix hook, but like he stood up, so I kicked his leg out and he fell and I popped back up. And I think that was the point where I thought, okay, I'm doing crazy shit and sweeping him almost, and I'm just doing stuff I do in practice. By the way, watch it again. Perfect technique on a self-defense get up. And he pulls guard again, but now I feel that the energy is even. Now it's like, oh, I feel your power level. I'm chipping away. He goes to deep half, and in my mind, ding, 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 ding. Everyone does deep half after a while trying to deal with my knee cut. I've been dealing with people going to deep half guard on me since ever since. And I have really good guys. I got guys like Muhammad Ali, my guy Big Sal, Al Washington, Gobi would do it. All these guys that are giant, strong guys that go to deep half and are deep half specialists, I'm used to it. But now in the gi and no gi, I can attack their feet. And just, that's one of the sequences that we worked on. Step over his head, go to honey hole. And because I took the time to do the new stuff, because I drilled it thousands of times and had expectations in practice, I had purposeful practice. It felt like practice. It felt easier than practice, kind of. No shade, but I'm dealing with guys in practice that know what I'm going to do, and I'm still able to hit it. When I did it in the tournament, it felt like second nature. It felt like a dream, bro. It felt like a dream. And I wasn't sure that he was going to tap until I felt his foot crack. And even then, I was just like, we're stuck here, and I'm not letting go, and he can roll around into the stands. I'm not letting go. He's just going to have to tap. He did, and the rest is history, man. The rest is history. Showed the crop top, ran into my boy's arms, jumped in the air, and just cut the promo of the century.
It was definitely Jiu-Jitsu's pipe bomb, so we needed something like that. It was definitely very entertaining because at that point, I look at the clip and I said, that's a nice way of putting the haters into a little bit of cardiac arrest, because at this point, they just have to acknowledge, all right, you did get submissions at this tournament. You earned your paycheck. You can't just get one of those things. You were talking about how decisions don't go your way. The best thing that gets rid of decisions, finality. So having that kind of peace of mind had to make you feel good, especially when you're thinking, this is me taking some time off too. Like, maybe that time off was good for you clarity-wise. Maybe that time off was good for you to just heal a little bit. But clearly the results, arguably, even better. I mean, do you think the time off helped you? Am I going crazy on this one? Or do you think that you were able to have something else that played a factor that day more than even the time?
I think what helped me the most was the emotional maturity that I had to go through. You got to think, we went through a year and a half, almost 2 years of being cooped up with this virus. And a lot of things changed in my life. A lot of perspective that I didn't previously have came to fruition. I started seeing the world differently, and I think it was a good mental switch for me. And it made me realize that in the grand scheme of things, there's bigger stuff than just jiu-jitsu. And that if I'm going to do stuff in life, I want it to be fun. I want it to be not just for recognition, not just for money, not just to say I'm the best. I want it to make me feel good. And when I came to practice every day, I felt phenomenal. And when I went out there, I felt phenomenal because I was in the moment. And I think that above anything else made it possible. How it made me feel, it made me feel even more content with my career, and it made me feel as though I've arrived, that I finally showed to myself, not anyone else, but myself, that I could do what I always thought in my mind was possible, and I did it in a day, and I exceeded my own expectations to the point where after I let go of the submission, I think it's a dream because I could have never thought in a million years that this was possible. And one of my close friends, a lot of my friends, but like my family and close friends would say, you just got to be patient. The universe is going to give you what you need or what you deserve. You just have to be patient. And it's not going to come when you think it's supposed to. It's going to come when you least expect it. Just be ready. And now I'm a firm believer in it, man. Truly.
Yeah, that's the hard thing I hate talking to people who do say that is always having to look at them and go, right, but I would like it now. Like, now would be really cool if it would happen. But there is something to be said about that, because there's always stuff that is out of your control. You know, like, for example, you didn't know they were going to put together a 250K Jiu-Jitsu tournament excursion. You didn't know that they were going to have multiple divisions going on and people dropping in and out, and still have a pretty compelling series of things happen at this Jiu-Jitsu tournament. There's a number of things that just kind of worked nicely. But in your particular case, it's nice that it would happen so that you kind of not only get that sense of validation of being a professional athlete in a sport that traditionally doesn't pay that much, but being able to say, like, no, I am that caliber. No matter how many times things seem to go right or wrong, I do belong in that conversation. Having said that, the next day, it seems like there are some conversations that happen. So one of the things I see is that it does look like you sort of have this new target on your back because, obviously, number one, insignia. But the second thing that happens is that you get somebody in Gordon Ryan who's now saying something, responding to you, because you make it pretty clear the two people you'd like to take on now are Andre Galvao and Gordon Ryan. I'm going to guess I haven't heard anything from Andre Galvao.
No.
Okay.
Nothing.
As per the course, so nothing new there. That's usually what he does. But Gordon does respond. What does Gordon say?
When I said that I wanted to fight him, he said that I was a hobbyist. He buried Keenan Duarte, a guy that, if we're looking at credentials, has better credentials than Gordon, because Keenan is a world champion in the gi. I mean, it got stripped because he popped hot for steroids, but won worlds in the gi, won ADCC, beaten a lot of great guys, beat a prime Buchecha. He's just being disrespectful. That's all I can say. He's just doing typical Gordon Ryan, being a troll, and just saying that I'm not on his level and that he has a tummy ache and that he can't compete against top guys. But somehow he's good and healthy enough to compete against a UFC fighter. Now, mind you, I like Philip Rowe. I'm happy that he's getting this opportunity. But I don't know of any of his grappling credentials. I know that he is a UFC fighter. I don't know his record, but he's still up and coming, and he's 170 pounds. Going against a guy and going around who's 230, I don't know how you're 230 pounds if you can't keep down food, but that's a whole nother story for a whole other time. And I asked Gordon this. I said, so what is it, buddy? Am I a hobbyist? Am I not elite? If I'm not elite, why can't we have a match? If I am elite, you're contradicting yourself and you're ducking me, because it's obvious that you're bigger than ever. It's obvious that you're good enough to fight. You're obviously good, healthy enough to run your mouth like you're not retired. So why don't you take the match? And, you know, they're talking about me fighting this guy, me fighting that guy. And he's just trying to deflect, because he saw what I was able to do as a hobbyist against a guy that he didn't want to have a matchup with. And I love flow grappling, but let's be real here. It was set up for Keenan versus Gordon. I played the spoiler. I got the job done in spectacular fashion. And I let it be known that, Gordon, whenever your tummy ache is over, whenever you're ready, I'll be waiting for you. And another thing too, Rav, I think it's crazy how, if you're a champion, right? Before the tournament, he says it's an interim title. It's an interim title, right? You never had the title, buddy. You never had the title. And if you are the real champion and I won the interim title, wouldn't it behoove you to go and get your title? I literally pointed to the center of the mat, picked up the proverbial crown and placed it on my head with him in the audience. And he's just going to sit on the sideline and still claim to be the best? I mean, check the rankings. I'm ranked higher than him anyway. I'm just waiting, Raph. Like, he's just full of contradictions. I still want the match. I believe it's going to happen. Because how long is he going to be able to lie to the public? How long is he going to be able to hide behind the fact that he has a made-up injury? I've had serious injuries. I've had serious intestinal damage where I almost died. Within a year, I won the world title. Within 6 weeks, I was back training. But it is what it is.
I'm interested in this, which is the fact that you did fire back quite nicely about the gi and what it is to compete in that. And I think you make a strong argument there, one that will just get kind of, I'm sure, ducked under. But you did make a point, which is, listen, you've instructed your fans to completely disregard the gi and its accomplishments, even though it's a whole half side of the sport. So to completely get rid of that, I think that's a fair argument. I think what is interesting, though, is when I look at this event, I don't know how you take any other thing out of it, because the whole premise of the event is who's number one. Well, now you've figured that part out. So now that you have that moniker, you should be next in line. And if that was part of the real system and the design of it, it would be cool to see that go further. Maybe it's hard to make happen. Maybe it's not financially something they can afford. But I do know that when I saw him and Philip Rowe, and I think we're on the same page here, like him, but I know you mentioned game show. That's the most game show thing I've heard, which is, you could tap me as much as you want, and then I'm just going to keep showing up. That's not even a real rule set. It's an exhibition match of some sort, which begs the question, like, why are we doing this other than just integrating the UFC and somebody from that into our sport, which could get us more eyeballs? But if you want to sustain this momentum, maybe just build up the grappling that you've been working on the narrative with. I don't know. What do I know?
Solid point, man. Solid point. I would just love to have the match. I think it's the match that everybody wants to see. I know for sure it's a match everyone wants to see. And I'm all about giving the people what they want.
I'll tell you this, man. I root for everybody to get their opportunities. It would be great. We're just at a point now where I think things are going to very quickly turn to ADC season tension. And I feel like that is going to be what people are going to be talking about next. So it'll be interesting to see how these events come up, because there's one thing I know for sure, which is if you ask people what their super fight situation is over the next 4 to 5 months, they will say, I got to consider ADCC trials, or I got to do this instead. So I'm interested to see how super fights or anything to that effect takes place within the next year, but we'll see. Having said that, what does the future hold for you now? Because you don't look like a retired guy, and you don't look like you're chilling like a retired guy. And it looks like, how do you not go on this momentum? How do you not keep that train running? Because it seems like there's some real gas to it right now.
Raph, I've had other interests for a very long time. I've been doing jiu-jitsu since 2006. I've been around the world. I've done it all. I might not have won everything, but I've participated in it, and I've rubbed elbows with some of the greats. If I don't get the next two matches that I want, if I don't get the Gordon match, I don't get the Andre match, I'm fine with it, because I'm not going to slow down the other things I got going on just to participate in more jiu-jitsu tournaments. I know for a lot of people, they would be disappointed if I decided to hang it up again. But, I mean, it's my life. I'm going to do what I want to do. And I'm just going to do my best to pay it forward to the younger guys on the team and anyone else that wants to follow their dream of jiu-jitsu glory.
That's fair. I mean, I'm trying to take that with a grain of salt, because I remember the last time you told me something. So I'm trying not to get mad about it, because, again, nobody is happier than us, myself, Kevin, our extended friends and family on this show. It's just, it is something to behold. Like, it is, you talk about it being surreal, but it does have a movie-like element to it, which is, dude, I'm retired. I got to do other things. And then all of a sudden you go out there, you do this podcast, you go to win who's number one, now setting a bar that the rest of us podcasters probably will not hit. I don't think you're going to see me capturing who's number one title. But I guarantee you, if I did win that by some series of flukes, you can almost be assured I would retire right then and right there. I would walk off the mats and be like, this is not happening again, and I cannot figure how it did happen. I'm retired. But I do feel like it is good momentum. I would love to see things continue for you. I'm pulling for that to happen. But if you did stop, I would understand. But what a hell of a way to mark off the time. So congratulations to you, sir. I'm curious on a couple things that are outside of this. Mm-hmm. One, when you do come back, I have to be fully forthcoming here. It is hard for me, as a guy who books these shows, to not be the first. So there's a competition to get that person. And I always like to tell people, if I call you, you should come on my show first. But I realized you had a show, and I was like, fuck, I can't make him not do his own. That just seems rude. That's the whole reason you have a podcast. If I had a podcast, I'd be my first guest too. I'd be like, Kevin, today we're interviewing me and my amazing accomplishment. So what did it feel like to go on your podcast, and what was the reaction from your fans, the people that you have built on that show, who have been following you, and now many of whom are Patreons for you?
Oh, man. The first episode of BJJ Goons after I won was pretty cool, man. It was really cool. I try not to talk about myself too much as far as my accomplishments. I try to drop game, but we couldn't hold it in. I went in depth about how it felt, especially on the Patreon. Like the latest Patreon episode, I talk about not just the actual tournament, but my actual life surrounding it. And it felt good, man. And it felt good. And I felt grateful for the fans because they showed so much love on the pod. Like we got huge numbers afterwards. And, you know, the BJJ Goons movement, all the goons out there, the Goon Squad really pushed hard, and I felt their support. As soon as I won, everyone was like, hashtag BJJ Goons, hashtag Goon Life, all that good stuff. But yeah, going on the pod and talking about it, it was awesome. I had the belt with me. I had the checks on there. It was dope, man. It was really cool. And I think it adds more, just the victory adds more, gives us more clout as far as being a great podcast, in that we have different perspectives. We have a guy that actually did it at the highest level and has a different perspective. Because I hate it sometimes when you see on sportscasters or like podcasts by guys that never did it before, and they kind of just have this perspective and it's not very understanding. But I think this helped a lot with our reputation as like, oh, when these guys say something, they mean it. And yeah, like I said, man, shout out to all the goons. Shout out to Nico, my co-host Nico Ball from Favela Jiu-Jitsu. But yeah, shout out to everybody that showed love. The love is real.
Good for you. And like I would say before, winning that belt is just a real FU to the rest of us that do this. It's hard. Like, because, listen, I know a lot of these different podcasters. Ryan Ford isn't going to go win one of these. It's just not going to happen. So, you know, I see a couple of these guys go out and compete, and I'm like, that's cool. But, yeah, no, I mean, hey, listen, dude. I think it was one of those cool moments that, for me, it was important to reach out to you to catalog for not just our sake, but to really kind of put a piece in what we hope pays it forward for the next set of people who get this opportunity to compete on that big of a stage. It can be life-changing. It can be something that is highly valuable to our community. So I do root for this to continue. Would be nice if it's you. But, I mean, if they end up having another 30K, is there a moment where you have to say, I have to defend this belt? Shit, I should go back in if they want to keep giving me money plus those submission bonuses.
I'm at the point now where I'm going to be defending the belt, not in tournaments, but in big matches. My fingers are crossed that we have a very big match in the near future. for even more than just $30,000. Okay. My hope is that we have other opportunities outside of just the match, but other things involved in the media. And you're correct. This is very life-changing, and there's a lot of things outside of the jiu-jitsu bubble that have opened up a lot of doors that I cannot go into detail with right now. But there's a lot of doors out here.
And I have to put on a good smile and pretend like it's okay. But I think inside I'm fuming, and I would just like to finish that. With that being said, I want to know an answer to a question that I think is more important than any of those.
Okay.
Does your title adhere to 24/7 rules? Because now I can see a scenario in which I could take the title from you. I'm not talking a straight up match. I'm talking I think I could probably figure out a scenario in which I have some sort of strategic advantage.
I'd have to ask Flo. I am super down for 24 hours, a 24/7 title to defend at any time, but I have to ask Flo because I am their top guy now, despite what a lot of people would have wanted. It's so crazy. Isn't life a wonder? Isn't life crazy? Isn't life crazy? I go in there plus 4,000 underdog. I don't get a lot of media attention. I'm from a small team that gets hated on, and now I'm the top guy. I'm the number one grappler on the planet. Pound for pound, heavyweight, whatever you want to call it. I'm the top guy. I got the grappling world by the balls, and I'm going to squeeze and twist.
It got really weird toward the end. Let's do this. I'm going to give you an opportunity to plug your stuff, my friend. Tell people where they can find you and where they can support you.
You can find me at timspriggsbjj.com. I teach private lessons both in person and virtually. I create game plans. I do match critiques where I watch your match in real time and critique it like John Madden. You can also find me at BJJ Goons Podcast on YouTube or your favorite streaming platform. Nico Ball and I, we talk about everything going on in the world of combat sports, jiu-jitsu, and the culture. Also, if you want to see me teach techniques, if you want to be a part of secret society of the Goon Squad, if you want to see bonus material and bonus episodes, follow us on Patreon at patreon.com/BJJGoons.
Again, sir, congratulations to you. Very happy to see the result. And more importantly, I think my capacity for nonsense and for having fun. And there was a large part of me, the winning's cool. The big check was cool. But seeing you own it, kick your feet up on the table, and just really embrace the fact that, yeah, you can cut a promo, but that it's deserved. It's at a point now where you're like, I've deserved to be here, and I'm just going to carry myself like I should have been here before. And the rest of you can catch up to that. And I got to tell you, when I saw it's no more than 3 minutes, but it's me just looking at you and going, good for you, man. I wish well, and I was glad to see that return to you. So congrats to you, sir.
Thanks, man, and thanks for having me.
Of course. Anyway, my thanks to one Tim Spriggs. The rest of you yokes, we're going to take a quick little break, and then we will be right back. Hey everybody, while traveling right now, I decided to just stop in, see our friends over at 10th Planet Oceanside, right behind me. I don't know if you can see it. Not the train, though. I'm tired as fuck. But I just wanted to come and say hello. They're about to move spots. And I think I discovered why. Because if you just turn around, right in back of you, you will see that they have a brewery and barbecue joint. If I had a brewery and barbecue joint, I probably wouldn't get much training done. So, don't know how they're doing it, but I look forward to seeing their new site. It's the first time I've ever even seen it. So, I'm glad that I got the chance to see it before they moved. So, thought I would tell you guys that. Stay tuned. Keep watching Grappling Hour. Well, it's not a submission underground unless you see Mason Fowler. And guess what? You're seeing a lot of him because he is 12-0 in that organization. He continues to be a dominant champion, and for that reason alone, we decided to bring him back for the premiere installment of the Grappling Hour for the 4th season. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to that interview with our good friend, Mason Fowler. Mason, how are you doing, sir?
What's up, Grappling Hour? I'm doing good.
Hey, congratulations to you, man. It is wonderful to see you. You look like you were having a blast. I think you're still over in Portland, correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm staying out here for a couple days. I have a couple seminars and teaching opportunities that came up, so gonna hang out and check out Portland.
That's awesome. When you have these teaching opportunities, and you have these things, do the kids want to see what you just did after you competed? Are they looking at you being like, yo, can you show us the mechanics of what you were doing from the back to get that crank? And is anybody volunteering to be your uke? Because I don't think I would.
Yeah, I have had people specifically ask me if I can go over back control submissions from the back. Um, you'd be surprised. People want all different things. A lot of people like learning rubber guard and like omoplata type stuff, which I haven't done as much in submission underground, but I've hit a lot of stuff like that in other tournaments, and so each one is different. But you are right. Like every seminar, one guy will be like, "Hey, can you put me in that thing just so I can like see how it feels?" And I'm like, "All right, man. Yeah, I can. I got you."
You signed the waiver, right? All good. Yep,
Yeah.
we can do that then. Yeah, dude, because I just look at the stuff that you're doing, and even stuff that you wouldn't normally be worried about, like, oh, take my back, it's totally cool. Like, I've seen enough of your work to go, nah, you can get Charles to come in, he'll be your uke. I believe you.
Yeah, and I mean, I think there's an art form to being able to teach it without hurting the uke too. I'm never rough on my ukes.
Maybe the other
I try not to
ukes
be.
who are probably going to pay a good amount of money to take one of your seminars, but you did threaten me. There is textual evidence that because my camera was taking a second to fix itself, you said the next fight might be with me. And I was like, listen, guy, I have enough things going on in my lifetime. I don't need to be super fighting with you, and it would actually get negative ratings.
Yeah, I'm nice to my ukes, but podcasters and hosts, they can get it. They can get the smoke.
That's fine. I would just let you know that I would win the trash talk leading up to the fight because there's no circumstance in which you would beat me at that. So I would feel very good about my ability to clown you for a number of things, and some of which I have ammunition for today, but we'll get to that in a second. So let me ask this. Tell me your recollection of the match. Kind of walk me through, especially when you heard that there was an opponent change. When did you hear it, and was there ever a moment when you weren't going to be on this card?
Um, I was always willing to be on the card. I was not always sure that I was going to be on the card, but I was always willing to be on the card. And I was hoping that I would be on the card because I know that Kyle Bame got injured, and that's the match that needs to happen. But with that being said, I had a little bit of a break, and when I was having my break due to an injury, Kyle was having a lot of success on Submission Underground, and he was very active. So it's almost kind of better the way that things worked out, better for me that I was able to come back, get a match under me, and that way I kind of maybe knocked off any of the ring rust, if you believe in that kind of stuff. And man, they sent me Heather sent me probably 10 different names, and I pretty much okayed all of them. I've never like turned anyone down on Submission Underground. I think that if you're the champion, you have to be ready to defend the title against anybody. So I'm not really in a position where I can be like, not that guy. Can we find someone else? You know? And it was I mean, it's scary names, dude. Like big names, heavy guys, monsters, world champs, ADCC champs. Um, but yeah, with the Submission Underground rule set, I think guys maybe are worried about taking a loss due to the EBI overtimes. You know what I'm saying? Dudes that are already have a big name. I think that that's why they might have been having some problems booking some of these guys, or why people were turning it down. Either people didn't want to risk taking a loss, or maybe if it was because like Pedro Mourinho, for instance, he was offered the match and he wanted to do the Nogi Worlds instead, right? And at the time, I thought that that was a mistake because I thought it would be better to take the opportunity at Submission Underground, get paid, have a chance to win the title. But it turns out I was probably wrong because he won the absolute, right? So I mean that probably, man, being a Nogi World Absolute Champ, that's a big title. So he probably did make the right decision there.
I mean, he also, I believe, double golded, and I kind of understand that play. It's not like he's ducking you. It just doesn't work for my schedule this weekend, and that is the unfortunate part about some of these events being back to back to back or coexisting on the same date. So I'm sure he would be up for it. I was sure, though, that when I sent Heather my name in, she did say, under no circumstances will I fight Rafa Esparza. So I was just like, that was really weird. I thought he was fearless, but whatever, man. I clearly fit the weight description of the class that you would be in, so that's good.
I just didn't. I told her no because I didn't want to hurt my friend,
As I've mentioned, negative ratings with any super fight involving me. So no, for the sake of the broadcast, I respectfully declined my name on that one. I would ask this, though. Okay, we talked about the opponent change. You know what really concerned me was the week before when I saw you, like, I don't know if there's a nice way of saying this, but you definitely looked like you were being Frankensteined, like, and put back together. But like this photo right here to me was like, dude, you were competing at a very, very difficult time. Do you mind walking me through how that injury happened and if you were concerned that you were even going to be able to compete that next week?
Yeah, I was actually concerned that was gonna need surgery or something because I've never had that happen to my eyes before. My right eye wasn't focusing with my left eye. So like obviously, when you look at something, your eyes kind of make one picture for you to see. My left eye was showing me like it's supposed to show me, and my right eye was like had vertigo. It was like spinning in circles. So I thought I might have had like a detached retina or something like that. I didn't want to not compete, but I was genuinely worried that had some like serious damage. But luckily two things happened. One, the ref was like really pushing me to go out and compete, which now in hindsight I appreciate him doing that. At the time, I thought he was out of his mind. I was like, man, I might have some permanent damage to my eye right now. The last thing I need to do is go tape it and go compete. But in hindsight, I'm really, really happy that he pushed me to do that because it would have sucked to go all the way out there and compete for 45 seconds and then not be able to continue the match, right? But luckily, there was no serious damage. It was something that the doctors told me would be fine within 7 days, and it was fine, right in about 5 or 6 days.
When that did happen, though, you weren't able to go on to the next match. So how did that decision process look like? Because for me, I was thinking like, shit, dude, I just know it's a difficult thing to compete with that as a hindrance, but how much did that throw off your actual jiu-jitsu game? Because you have a really good game, and I don't think any of us ever close half of our eyes and try to grapple on a regular occasion. So what was that doing to your senses as a grappler?
Yeah, I would say try taping over one of your eyes and then go train. For me, the hardest thing was um, whenever you are going through a position and it's a scramble. Like for me, it was when I was passing. Once you hit an explosive movement, like a passing movement, and then you're in that kind of like whirlwind of like them trying to regard and you're trying to like secure the pass, you have to be like super focused on them and how their body's moving so that you can go to your next move. Um, so for instance, like if you get past the guy and you see that he's bringing his knee in, then you would see that and then you would address the knee and start kind of like going to the next situation. So you're constantly assessing what's happening and using that to kind of like tell your brain to go to the next technique. So I was getting almost, but I wasn't able to technique, if that makes sense. Like you pass and then it goes into like you going to a back take, or you pass and then you have to block the guy's legs and go to north south. I was having problems doing that second motion. All the first motions were fine. It was always like I wasn't able to chain my attacks together.
And I will say, I think the hardest part about that as well is that that was a 30K tournament. So it's not like you want to not compete in that. Like, if you have to pull out or something happens, you know, you want to give it your all and be in that conversation so that hopefully things can change, you can move on. But when I saw what happened to your eye, I was just like, well, I know what the rest of your calendar year looks like. It's never a good time to have an injury, but especially when things are this active, you really do hope, like, man, I hope he's okay. I hope he can do submission underground. That's just for this next week coming up. But then in the next month, you've got ADCC, you've got all these things that are coming up that I go, nah, I hope he's good. And when I read that your eye was going to heal in a few days, I actually felt pretty happy to hear that, because you hate seeing or hearing those things, man.
Yeah, thank you. And the eye is just like one of those things where, I mean, you can blow out your ACL and you can fully repair it, get a new ACL, and you'll be fine. But the last thing you want to do is permanently damage one of your eyes. That's something that could be lifelong, and it could dramatically alter your life.
Yeah. You do, however, join a nice collection in history of people who do sport that fashion. So congratulations to you, because there have been a lot of people who have won big things whenever those things get wrapped around their eye. So congratulations. We will add you to the little montage at one time, I think, if I'm ever not lazy enough to do, I will make.
Yeah, I try to always take away positives whenever something like that happens. Like, I could have sat there and been depressed for a week, 2 weeks, a month about how I lost the opportunity, and just thought about going all the way out there to Texas and not coming home with any money. But instead, I tried to focus on the positives, and that kind of helped me not feel so bad about it. So I think one positive would be that I earned a lot of people's respect, right? Because, I mean, you've never seen anyone competing with one eye. And then even when the Band-Aid came off, if you watch, I was able to be spinning, and I was like, fuck, okay, I got to close it again. So that was a positive. I got to, I still won a match. I got a good win under my belt. That was a good positive. I finally got to compete on Who's Number One, Flow Grappling's promotion that is doing big things right now. And they're one of the biggest promotions right now as far as submission grappling goes. And I haven't been able to compete for them yet. So I had an opportunity to compete for them. I at least got one win in. And I got to compete under that rule set of 15-minute submission only, which that was the first time I competed under that rule set also. So I just try to take away the positives. I didn't win a lot of money. I lost the opportunity to get some big wins under my belt, but there were some good things to take out of that weekend as well.
I have a sneaking suspicion you'll be back on one of them in the future. So I think that you're right to take those kind of things in stride. I always tell people, I'm like, it was cool to see all of you guys get the opportunity to win that much money. And even in this broadcast, we've mentioned a couple times that we like giving Flow shit, but we do celebrate when them or any other organization is legitimately paying you guys what we think are good steps towards what we'd like to see the sport evolve into.
Absolutely. Yeah, if you want people to start taking it more serious and you want more people to start becoming full-time athletes, there has to be opportunities to make money, right?
Yep. All right, let's get back over to Submission Underground. You obviously know at a certain point, probably was it that Thursday that they told you it was Gabriel that was going to replace?
Yeah, it wasn't.
Was it a few days out,
It
or
wasn't
was
that
it?
long
I don't
ago.
remember exactly how
Yeah,
long.
it was a
And you
couple
may
days
hear
out.
of
It
it
was a
before
couple
we
days
do.
out. Yeah, so they had pretty much told me it was between Checo and I think one or two other guys, and I said yeah to all. I think it was three guys total. Checo was one of them. I said yes to all of them. The one thing about Checo is that even though he might not have the biggest name in the jiu-jitsu community, he definitely has the most experience under Submission Underground. He had a match with Craig on Submission Underground, and when I was studying film, when they told me that he was going to be the opponent, I mean, he's been on more shows than me. He's been on, I think, since before me or even like Craig or any of us had been on the show. So, yeah, I think they made the right decision.
Let's talk a little bit about the match. It kind of started the way I thought it would, which was I think he seemed eager to try and test you on the feet. I think he seemed eager to try and use a little bit of the cage. But I think that one of the things that you do really well is you have really good cage awareness in the way that you utilize it for your own game as well. So can you walk us through a little bit of your recollection of the match?
Yeah, so I remember, first off, we didn't think he was going to hand fight with me or stand with me at all. We thought he was gonna sit instantly. We like studied the way that he sits to guard, and he actually he plays a little bit of leg locks and a little bit of close guard. He didn't do that. He didn't pull at all, which I think was good for me, but at the same time, it ate up a lot of time. I was able to get the back, but not with a lot of time left. I remember my corner was telling me like 3 minutes in, 3 minutes in, and I was like, what? Like, time goes by so fast, especially when you're hanging on the guy's head and trying to get him tired. So, yeah, it surprised me. And then and I was able to get to fighting out of those and slipping his head out, snapped him down, spun, took the back, and then I had about 30 seconds left, and he was fighting the hands really well, and so I tried to go for the arm. Man, I thought I had the arm. I really thought I was gonna have it, and he did some type of escape. It wasn't really like a hitchhiker, but it was kind of like a hitchhiker. But he was able to rip his arm out, and then we went to overtime. I want you to rewatch the armbar though, because something happened that was really cool that I've never seen before. Uh, the way that we were angled, we were really close to the cage, and I actually walked my feet across the cage to get the angle to get into the armbar position. And that's like kind of one of those things that you never really train for, but it happened in the spur of the moment. And when I rewatched it, I thought it was like really cool, you know?
I wish I had permission to replay it. I actually have it queued up right over here on my my iPad because I do research before you come on, and I make sure to rewatch the match. And I thought that was actually pretty commendable because I feel like so many people, once they get to that last minute, already just mentally go to overtime. And to me, it was like, no, he's trying to give us a submission here. And I could see you even trying to give some extra insurance with maybe a little bit of a triangle that you could sneak in there. But he ended up getting out. We go over to overtime. Can you describe any of what overtime felt like?
Yeah, so just on that note also, like I feel like there's so much more pressure on me to like tap guys in the regulation now, right? I've gotten maybe three submissions in the regulation, but man, a lot of guys they 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 just fight so hard to not get submitted. And obviously like that was one of my criticisms, right, when I fought Craig, is that I just like tried not to get submitted and then would beat him in the overtime. So it kind of goes both ways, you know, because I feel like Checo kind of did that to me, right? Um, so yeah, the overtime started, and I felt a little tired because I had I really had it in my head that I was determined to get the submission in the regulation. So I used a lot of energy in order to, get to the back, in order to like attack the arm. So the first round, I think, was a little bit of me being a little gassed from like chasing that submission, and then also a combination of Checo being opportunistic and thinking like now's my time. Like, so I actually lost the first round of the overtime by 17 seconds. And then when that ended, I was just thinking in my head, like, fuck, he got 17 more seconds than me. That's insane. Like, I didn't think there was a chance that he was going to hold me longer than I could hold him, right? Um, so then I had to really turn it on. And then uh, I, I put it in my head, like, okay, he's not getting out this round. He's not going to escape. I'm going to tap him or I'm going to hold him the whole 2 minutes. And even going back and rewatching it last night, I realized that it was also me being kind of lazy. Like the first round, I could have held him longer, but I wasn't fighting, I think, with everything that I had. I was being a little lazy, a little unfocused. Maybe it was just because I underestimated Checo, right? I went first. So I thought I was going to get right out, and then he ended up holding me for longer. So then I really had to refocus and dial it in for the second round. And then he wasn't getting out the second round. I held him for a long time. And then I was fighting him a lot, working harder to choke as well. And that all came off of me feeling threatened when he was on my back, right? I went in thinking I was going to be really safe, but during the match I felt really uncomfortable. Like he was good on the back. He was a lot better than I thought he was going to be. So the second round ended up tapping him in a minute 30, and then I really turned on, everything that I had to escape that round, because in my mind it's like, okay, he knows that he has to tap me, right? So he's going to be trying really hard to tap me within that minute 30. So I have to literally just fight tooth and nail, like use everything I have to just get out as soon as possible, because the longer he's on my back, the more chance he has to catch me, right? So I escaped a lot faster in that second round. I think maybe around 30 seconds. It could have been longer.
It always feels, I think, longer in your head, which is always like, I always tell people this, is like, there's always a moment when you see people who are competing where they go, oh, that felt like it was 2 minutes. And you go, it was at 20 seconds, dude. And it's hard to get people to sometimes understand that perspective. And with good reason, because you're just trying to focus on what's happening in the moment. You, however, you've been in this for a good while. But then things seem to kind of level out. And when I say level out, I mean they go back into your favor. So what ends up happening in your favor that gives you the win?
I would say that I was being a little lackadaisical in my mind. And once I realized that I was behind and that I'm in here with a real guy that is here to win, then I was able to flip that switch. And also I think that he was fighting as hard as he could to not get tapped in the 5 minutes, and he was fighting as hard as he possibly could in the first round of the overtime to hold me and also to escape fast. So I think by the round over that he had already.
Word. Well, let's talk about a few things. Number one, again, here with Mason Fowler, I was kind of intrigued as to what you were talking with Chael about, because it does seem like you guys had already decided the next match is going to be Kyle, which is great because it gives him some time to recuperate. And I know that you were looking forward to having that match. So it does mean that you get to finally see that match. I don't think we know exactly when that's happening, though, given how many things are coming up. I know they announced there's a 31st date. I don't know if that's enough time for him to recuperate. So I think we're all just kind of on the same page of, I guess we're just going to wait and see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm sure that they are going to contact me sometime this week about the 31st date, and they'll let me know. Kyle says he wants to take the match and he's ready. B, Kyle isn't going to be ready, but we still want you on the card. Do you want a match with someone else? Or C, Kyle's not ready. We're going to put you on the show and we're going to main event. So, which is fine. If they want to put someone else on, I won't get upset about it. But we'll see. I think that they're going to want me on the card.
Yeah, and I mean,
So
the
we
other
just have
thing
to wait and see.
is you become the franchise, so they should put you on, and you are healthy, all things considered. So hopefully they can make that happen with somebody, if not him, because we do enjoy seeing you. I do think, however, this is continuing a run of just unprecedentedness in Submission Underground. How many wins in a row has this been now?
It's 12 wins now total.
That's impressive, man. Every once in a while, I just
Yeah.
think, man, to beat Chael and realize you're stuck with Mason. Like, you're not going anywhere. You seem to keep winning, and I think they like you, which helps. But every once in a while, when Chael is spinning a yarn on the commentary, I think he's running out of superlatives to compare you to. I think he's just like, I think it's well established that Mason, he can essentially accomplish anything. He could go to NASA and fly a spaceship if he really wanted to. And I'm like, I don't think that's at all what this is, but yeah, I get it. You're running out of shit to say about him. He just keeps winning. He's good. I think we believe that.
Yeah. No, I love it, man. I love the Chaelisms. They're hilarious, man.
I'm sure it is very entertaining because it's a completely different match than I'm sure the way you would interpret it in those 5 minutes plus overtime when you get home and you get to rewatch the tape. I'm sure it is quite enjoyable to sit there and go, this feels like an entirely different match now. Like when you hear the sprinkled commentary that he's put on top of that.
I know, and my parents like absolutely love him too. They always call me and they're like, he said so many good things about you, like da 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 da. Like he says you're so strong. Like I always knew how strong you were. My parents love Chael, I swear.
Yeah, the only thing that I love is when he is mentioning how strong you are, he has to figure out the exact wording for it. Because he was like, well, you see Gabriel, you know he's strong. But with Mason, it's kind of a question mark. Is he strong? He looks stronger than he is. Or is he? And I go, I don't understand why that's at all comparable.
Yes, it's so funny the way that he says it, yeah. Or yeah. He'll be like, there are some things you hear here at Submission Underground. Maybe just in passing in the hallways. And whenever I'm in passing with one of Mason's opponent, I always ask him, how strong is he? And they always say, he's way stronger than he looks. You know, like that's how he gets it out. Yeah, it's like it has a whole backstory.
Yeah. He's essentially playing a jiu-jitsu commentary version of the Aristocrats, where the punchline is Mason is strong, but he tells a whole different journey each time. And it's a comedian's trick. So I'm entertained by it, but I definitely look at you and I go, I don't think Mason looks weak, but sure. Maybe he's seen you too much on Twitch and has gotten things twisted a little bit.
And thinks I'm a nerd, yeah.
Yeah,
possible.
Well, or that, but even then when he's like comparing it and he's going up to other people in this, if you take him at his word with this, how weird is that he's going up to other people and being like, how strong do you think Mason is? If I were to put the world's best arm wrestler, could Mason beat him right here? And I'm always like, or jiu-jitsu questions, I guess. That's cool too. Anyway, we're done roasting, Chael. Here's what I'm going to say.
I got one more. One more is when they were doing the tournament to see who was going to be the number one contender. And then Chael's on air and he's holding his phone like this. And he's like, the champ, Mason Fowler, just texted me and said, you know, da-da-da-da-da-da. And then I'm like at home watching it and I'm like, Chael, I don't even have your number. At least give me your number. Like if you're going to say I'm texting you, you know?
Again, maybe it's because the kids who watch these things don't work in production like I do. But when someone says that they're doing it, I definitely do a little bit of a wink like, yep, TV magic. So anytime he said like,
Yeah, you say like some expert is texting you, right? Like it could be whatever. He'll say like my coach Fabio Schirner is texting me right now, and then I'm thinking like, is he really texting you? Because I wasn't texting you.
I mean,
You
maybe
know?
in your case, you are at a certain level where it's like, oh, if you weren't texting me, you better now. I find it entertaining because it's always like he uses the Barbara Walters approach of like, I was just having lunch with Vinny Magalesh when he mentioned something specific about half guard, and I go, I don't believe you had lunch with him, and that was the primary part of the conversation. I do think it is an entertaining quibble that we could have while we're watching some grappling. And I got to tell you, man, as somebody who does Fight Companions and is routinely on the air for hours at a time, you got to make shit interesting by hour 2. Sometimes you're sitting there reading lotto numbers just to keep people entertained. But I understand.
Yeah, absolutely. And he does it by himself too. He doesn't have a commentary partner to bounce things off of.
He could always call somebody who could take care of the hard parts, like the branding, and then he can just be his silly self. But you know what? That's fine if he doesn't want me. It's
Yeah,
totally cool.
if he wants to call me, he just needs my number first.
Well, no, that's true. But I'm not trying to give you more jobs. Every time I see you sitting somewhere close to commentary, I go keep competing. No one wants you here right now. Because that's a me gig.
I'm gonna take over the commentary game once I'm done competing.
Oh, God.
But I'll
please
bring
no.
you. You could be my partner.
All right, well,
We'll
it's
be
different.
commentary partners.
Now I won't shit on you. With
Yeah, I'll bring you
me,
along.
you get years of experience of commentating, and more importantly, keeping the thing on the road. I always tell people, I'm like, it's so hard once you're on camera when everything's falling apart around you, but there's no calmer person than me because I just look at like the camera and go, my camera just fell out of batteries. We're just going to keep talking. And I will literally keep a straight face. Most of the time I'll tell people and be pretty earnest with them and being like, well, you might have saw my dog jumped into the shot. So now she's commentating with me and shit like that. Here's what I'm going to say. I want to kind of acknowledge, again, busy month. You're going to be competing at ADCC trials. I know that for a fact because you. And I think that'll be good to see. Lots of people are doing that one as well. What is coming up next other than that? Like, what are you looking at? Just in terms of, we're going to wait, of course, for Submission Underground, but what things are kind of on your plate that you're looking to do?
I'm supposed to compete in the IBJJF GI Worlds in order to get promoted to black belt from my professor. That's the requirement that he wants me to do first. So I got to put the gi back on.
Straight, because we've been chronicling this for a long ass time, and one of the photos I had on hand today was specifically just trying to figure out why the shit we still don't have a black belt. And the last time I looked, it was you, and correct me if I'm wrong, but was that 3 stripes on your belt?
Yeah, I've been under Kyle for almost 3 years now, and he's given me 2 stripes so far in 3 years. It's like, so I have 3 stripes on my brown belt. I still haven't even got my 4th stripe yet.
In doing the research today and looking at that, I got so mad because I figured this thing can go on for a lot longer if Kautera continues to just torture you. And then I think of things where I go, why would he torture you? And then I see photos like this, and I go, my God, this man takes too much pleasure in making your life a total mess. Like, this photo of him splashing you with water and then just making you laugh. Like, what the hell is he doing there?
He loves torturing us, man, I swear. He loves torturing us.
Okay. I mean, that's
fair.
all
I'm going to say.
All right. Well, hey, listen, I get it. He's probably going to come after you a little bit later. I guess, while we're on the subject of what's coming up next, I'll throw these 2 photos out here. They may tell us some more yarns, but normally I like to give you shit. And one of the things I'm giving you is these tattoos. We have seen so many of them happen in your journey just within the past year. What is happening on your sleeve, and what is going on in this photo?
I pretty much just have been getting tattoos in order to get rest days. Because if I get a tattoo, I get 2 days off of training. And if not, I have to train like twice a day year round. So
That's the saddest thing
I'm gonna
I've
end
ever
up all
heard
tatted up, my whole
anybody
body.
say. I just want to rest day so bad. Well,
I
we're
had no
not giving you
tattoos
one.
before I started training with Kyle. I had no tattoos.
Are you planning to get all over, or do you have a certain cutoff at a certain
It depends how tired I am.
point? You know, sometimes I get these photos in anticipation they might be a pretty good yarn. That was worth it. I think I have one more, and I'll show this to you because I want to go over the phraseology that's happening in this. Okay, first of all, if I'm being honest, Mason, your Instagram has turned into a real QVC, and I hope that it gets you paid.
What does that mean? Oh, QVC, like
Yeah,
it's
it's you as a home shopping network. It's like, I never finish arm bars without these sticky notes. Look at these sticky notes.
I
These are the
know.
best. Now, listen, dude, I want you to get paid, and I'm not telling you
No,
to
I
say
hear.
a certain thing, but I can say whatever I want because they're not paying me dick. So as a result of
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
every time I see you on your Instagram, I go, all right, well, what's Mason up to? And it's just you being like, here you go. And I go, Jesus Christ. This Nutribar has nothing to do with giving you good triangles, Mason. But don't hate the player, don't hate the game. Just want to say
No,
things.
I know. Unfortunately, my Instagram had to turn into QVC in order for me to stop teaching kids
I
class.
get it.
So it
But here's what I want to
is
show
what it
you
is.
because this one in particular hit me a certain way, and we'll see if we feel similarly in a second. But this one in particular is a photo of you wearing a Moya Lakers inspired gi. Now,
Okay.
here's what I want people to kind of pay attention to on that particular photo, and I'll tell you why I've got a little bit of grief with you. It says, since I can remember, me and my family have been Lakers fans. Now that I'm older, I don't watch much basketball anymore, but I still couldn't wait to get my hands on this gi. So I was offended by a few reasons. Number one, it was like, I don't really give a fuck about basketball or baseball or whatever this one is, but this gi, look at it. I go, the point of this story is this gi is dope, and I used to like basketball.
Yeah, me and my family all were Lakers fans when I was a kid, but since I've been since I got exposed to combat sports, MMA and Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling, boxing, Muay Thai, I just I can't sit and watch normal sports anymore. It's just not as exciting to me. I don't know what it is. I'm not. So it's like, I'm not gonna be a fake fan and be like, I'm a Lakers fan, da da da. Da. So I was like, just wanted to be real. I used to be a Lakers fan. Now I don't give a fuck about sports at all. But if I'm gonna get some cool shit that's like Lakers colors, it's like, yeah, this is dope. I used to be a Lakers fan, right?
I'm
Or
glad
no?
that your pursuit of realness is just as authentic
Yeah,
as
I'm trying to
J-Lo
be real.
reminding us that she's real. I just want you to know that when you say shit like that, and I don't have a Lakers jersey or a Lakers themed gi, and I'm sitting at home and I go, well, I'm glad he has a nice connection. Wait, he's not even a fan anymore? Fuck this guy. Oh, he doesn't deserve this gi. Give that to
You're like, he
Moya.
doesn't
Hey,
even deserve to wear the gi.
take that off right now. You don't get to wear that. So I'm like looking at you and I go, yeah, Moya's super dope for making that gi. They're just giving it to some Yamoke over here who's just like, I like the
Mayweather
Lakers
fan.
once. So
Yeah,
that's it.
fair weather fan.
That's my gripe with you. Again, I want you to get paid.
It's
I don't
understandable.
want you to have to teach the kids classes, but this is me bringing you on the show to yell at you directly because maybe I'm a little jealous, okay? And if we're going to be...
It's better for everyone. It's better for the kids to not have me in kids class too.
Would you
Let's
break
be
the
honest.
kids like you would break most other athletes that you're competing against?
Dodgeball would get real competitive.
Oh,
Let's just
shit.
say that.
That's fair. Well, listen, Mason, I've learned a lot about you. And yes, if we are going to truly be broadcasting cohorts, we have to get some of our dirty laundry aired, grievances said, so that we can move past it and be a powerful team together. So I'm glad that we're doing that now to take care of it in the future.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's remind the people, where can they find you? What can they send you notes? Because here's one thing that's very real, and I want people to know this. I want you to come do a seminar down here in Southern California. It's just a matter of scheduling. So I'm really trying to get a seminar out of you, and I think we'll make it happen. But I know other people might be interested in doing that, especially if you're going to be visiting different places for different tournaments. So where can people find you, and give them an idea of what they could see at a seminar?
Yeah, so the best place to contact me is just through Instagram. Make sure that you buy all the stuff that I post so I don't have to teach the kids class anymore. Yeah, if you were interested in bringing me out for a seminar, especially I do travel a lot, but after December, I do want to take a little bit of a break. It would be a lot easier for me to, January, February, March, somewhere around those months, travel more, see some different places, and teach in some different states or different countries. So, yeah, shoot me a message if you guys are interested. I can focus the seminar on whatever techniques or positions you guys prefer. I'm pretty confident in my jiu-jitsu all around. I study under Kyle Tara, who's very technical. So I just got a message from Heather Standing asking me if I'm available for October 31st. So
Oh shit, look at this breaking news that's happening. Wait, are you just saying that, or are you pulling a Chael?
No, it just came down in my
No. I know
about.
where your references are now. Now I know the secret. Now I know you going like, oh, speaking
Heather
of...
Standing's texting me right now.
Heather,
yeah.
it's like there's no message there. I can see your phone. There's absolutely
no
no
it just
message.
dropped down on the screen right now, I swear.
Yeah, all right. I get what you're saying,
Mid-sentence.
Mr. Sonnen.
Yeah, so if you want to bring me out, hit me up. We could work something out.
Well, that's good. And like I said, I do look forward to you trying to figure that out, because I would love to take one of your seminars. There's a lot of stuff that I see you do that I kind of wish I could do. So I would love to implement that into my game. And I hope other people who see your stuff and get to see you on a regular basis on Submission Underground can maybe learn the secrets of going 12-0 and continuing their own streaks
Absolutely.
in their own ways. So.
Yeah, and then for your gym, the Gi Worlds is going to be in Anaheim, so it's in that general area. So we could set something up for after that if you wanted to.
Okay, that's, you know what?
Talk about it.
You did more of the work for me on that one, so that one's easy calendar. But yeah, we'll talk about that anyway. Kids, friends, I just got to say thank you so much, Mason, for coming in. I think that we're all excited to see how long this streak continues to go, and more importantly, man, you talk about some haters and some doubters, but on the real, like, you're out there and you're busting your ass, and I do see it. And I am not a hater. I like to say I am a joker. And as much shit as I give you, I'm really, really happy to see what you're doing, man. Like, you are truly out there, even when you're tired, giving us submission attempts, even if they cost you a little bit in overtime to catch your breath. Like, that shit goes very noticed. So I hope you know that, and keep up the good work, man. We love seeing you.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, man.
No problem. All right, everybody. Mason Fowler right over here. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back with some more Grappling Hour. Fatima Kline is maybe one of the nicest human beings out there. Absolutely. One of the nicest people I've ever interviewed, just bar none. But she did just win Medusa in dominant fashion. And we've been a fan of hers for a while. Last year, we got our first opportunity to interview her. And I've never seen somebody so happy to be interviewed and yet so wonderfully polite on the other side of the camera. So I was excited to bring her back. You know what? Enough words. Let's talk about an incredible accomplishment she did in winning the Medusa, the inaugural Medusa Jiu-Jitsu event. Let's check that interview out right now. All right, ladies and gents, we continue our streak of great guests for a season 4 premiere. I got to tell you this. The pandemic has kind of sucked for a number of reasons, but last year when I was cooped up in my house interviewing people digitally, there was one of those guests who just was so cool and so great that I was so proud of her success. But getting to know her was one of those nice moments that you have during the pandemic. Seeing her rise over at Submissions on the Shore, seeing her continue to do great things like fighting professionally in MMA. All great things. But I would argue there are few things cooler than being one of the winners of a premier jiu-jitsu event, one that had a lot of eyeballs. And as many of my friends said, you can always count on the women to bring it. And this woman is no exception. I'm so glad that we get the chance to catch up on our season premiere. But more importantly, if you haven't listened to an interview with her, stick around for this because she is a genuinely good soul, and it's easy to see why people root for her. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the show, one, Fatima Kline. Fatima, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm so excited to be here.
It is so good to have you back. I know I kind of built it up a little bit, but I really do mean it. One of the high points of last year was just our interview. I got a sense of who you were, why this is important to you, why you love doing jiu-jitsu, and I could see why so many of our spies that we know, mutual, were like, no, she's the shit, and you guys got to understand why.
Yeah, honestly, it's pretty funny that you say spies because, whenever you compete, there's people watching, you just don't know who, know? And it's kind of cool to see how it's a small world and we just get connected over and over and over again, so.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the beautiful part is I try to pay attention to a little bit of everything. And obviously there are going to be those events that you miss and you're maybe going to not watch one or whatever.
Yeah.
But I was so happy to see it because when I got to learn so much about you, I learned so much about your family and vacationing. And that all came as a result of you winning a series of tournaments that were out here in Los Angeles last year. But it's been a year. We have a lot to catch up on. Tell me real quick before we get into the thick of the matches. What did it feel like to win the premiere installment of Medusa?
Honestly, it's funny because somebody asked me that question the other day, and I had to look back and kind of replay that moment in my mind. But honestly, the first thing that went through my head as soon as they raised my hand was, I wish I could do this again. You train for months and put in so many hours a week and inside and outside of the gym and dieting and everything that goes along with just competing on a big card like that. You put so much in and then within like a day it's over, and I missed the urge of competing. It was only a few months, but like as soon as it's over, I'm ready to do it again, and I still had the excitement and I was so joyful to be there and so happy, regardless of winning and everything. I was just like, I was so grateful that I was given this opportunity and, thank God I was able to win it. So actually, really an unbelievable moment.
Yeah, I just remembered seeing the list of names, and you have to understand something. We obviously love you. We think you're great. But what ends up happening is when we start interviewing more people or we have friends, we have a lot of friends in that tournament.
Yeah.
So obviously we wish you well. We turn into Switzerland whenever that happens and we go, good luck to however it happens.
Yeah.
But I can honestly say I was not surprised that you won. So
Thank
for
you.
me, it was like I saw your name thrown in there and I saw some great names, excellent people. Like I mentioned, we have interviewed them. We know they're savages. We know they're great. But
Totally.
there is something great, I'm sure, about getting that call to be on something like this. And especially when you're starting to get momentum in MMA as a professional. So can you tell me what it was like to get that call and specifically how they were telling you the event was going to go, because we kind of heard about it a while back and a lot of us were waiting with heavy anticipation for this event.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, at first, when I first got the call, I was pretty intimidated by it. You know, I've never traveled that far to compete. I've never been on something this big, you know. Again, like last time we spoke, it was on submissions on the shore. So taking a big step within a year, you know, I was a little bit intimidated by it, and I knew there was a big bracket coming in, and I knew some of the girls, and I knew how some of them their style was, but I was more than happy to test myself and just be able to put myself out there, you know, and just test myself against the rest of, you know, top level girls and, you know, all around the world. And so, as soon as I got it, I was like, I'm in. And my training leveled up. Um, you know, I started dieting. I really started getting ready. And it was just something that I really wanted to win. I really did. And throughout my training camp, I became confident that I was going to. Never 100%, because, you know, anything can happen, especially when you're in a bracket with, you know, that many girls, anything can happen. But I just started to get this feeling of I can do it, you know, being just self-motivated that I would be able to do it. And, you know, with God's strength and just trusting in him and going out there. And, you know, you always think you're going to win it until you're like 5, 6, 7 minutes into a match. And then it's like, oh man, like I only have a few minutes left. Am I really going to be able to do it? You know, and a little bit of doubt steps in, as usual. And, you know, it's just that mental strength to be able to overcome those little obstacles.
You mentioned something in our last interview about having anxiety, and it's interesting because you don't really strike me as somebody when I'm watching you that looks like you're dealing with the anxiety. So you do an excellent job of manifesting that anxiousness and putting it into your game. So
Thank you.
I mean it because I watch a lot of it, and I think the only times maybe you get a peak of it is through the elation when you win. So when you won, I could kind of see like it was pure joy that you can only have from having that much nervousness, like that kind of thing seeping out of you, because you had this moment where I think after they kind of announced, you know, you as the winner, or I think right at the end of your match for the finals, you had this giant smile like, did I just win? Like you woke up from a dream. And I go, oh my God, that's so cool.
You're totally right, because in the moment when I felt that tap, I was like, wait, no. I was like, am I just thinking that she did? Was it by accident? Like everything besides winning went through my head, and I was like, no, there's no way. And then I felt Eddie separate us, and I was like, no way, it actually happened. And then, you know, all the emotions just started to stream out. But I try to keep it calm until the very end. And then, like, it's just an explosion of everything I felt from the start of my camp till now.
And I've told people, and I think we even mentioned this, you win, you deserve to get your props, to celebrate as you need to. I just know that from getting to know you a little bit from the last time, I was so happy for you and your journey. And we're going to get into talking about the matches in a second, but just that encapsulating image I have in my head of you on the ground thinking about it, and then just back to your normal smiley self that we get to see. Now, granted,
Yeah.
I'm not rolling with you, so I don't know the intensely focused side. I'm not against you in the cage, but the smile that I saw on you after you won was like, yeah, that's who I've talked to. Like, that is the person. So big congratulations. Let's start right at the beginning of the day, though. One thing that I noticed, though, is that the last time you were competing up a division, did this feel a little bit better in terms of competition in this weight class, or how did that feel for you altogether?
So honestly, I felt comfortable in the weight class, although my weight cut was a little rough in the beginning, but towards the end it started to steady out. Um, but skill wise and just like all of that, like there was definitely a step up. And as soon as they put the people out there and I saw the bracket, I knew that, you could only expect that every time, at least for me when I compete. I think the person's going to be better and better and better. Whether they are or they're not, I just set that expectation so I can arise above it rather than setting, a low scale and then missing that. And so I always expect my opponent to be better. And I trained for that. I trained for the best that I could possibly get. And that way, when I step onto the mat, I'm not surprised and that I'm ready 100% to do what I need to do. I felt great in the weight class, though. I definitely think between 125 and 115 is my weight class. I don't know if I would go back up to a 145 like I did on submissions on the shore.
I thought about that so heavily because when I saw you compete in this, I go, oh, thank God it's in her division. You know what I mean? Or at least somewhere close to you, because when you told me the first time, you're like, yeah, I mean, 145 is cool. I go, no, it's not, dude. Anybody who's 10 pounds over me, I'm like, I'm not rolling with them anymore. This is too heavy.
Yeah.
So
I think that
makes
was
a difference.
Yeah, I think that was definitely a lesson I had to learn for sure. I think in the beginning I felt a little invincible and like I was just like, I just want matches. I'll take whatever I can get. And I'm still absolutely like that. Like if somebody at 145 needed a match, like I'll be there. It's just another experience I can take in, another opponent I can roll with, and just another learning experience. But my body was definitely thanking me for going at 115 and not taking the damage and feeling the side effects the next day.
Understood. And you looked great. So let's talk about your first match. One thing I want to make sure that people know as we kind of talk through these is that you had submissions in all of your matches. So I want to make sure that people know that, even though it was EBI format, that you still got the finishes within regulation. So let's start with that. First match, tell me your recollection of that. And does it go kind of the way you think it's going to go? Because you've had time to look at that bracket and probably start game planning accordingly for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the bracket went out Friday night, and so immediately I was already looking into my opponent. I honestly couldn't find much, and that's a little bit of a scary thought at first because it's like, oh, do they not compete or are they really good and they don't talk about it? So I had those, both of those going through my head, but honestly, what I went through was whoever I got, that's who it was meant to be, and this is a process I'm going to go through in order to get to the finals. So I didn't know much about her. Throughout my match, I think it lasted 23 seconds. Didn't expect that. I am never like fastest submission of the, like, I'm not one of those, but for some reason this time I was, thank God. But honestly, like, whenever I go to compete, whatever format it is, whether it's points, whether it's sub only, whether it's EBI overtime, whatever it is, throughout my regulation time, I'm going for the finish. I've never taken a win that I've taken on overtime, really a win. I really like a sub only format. I like a good time limit and I like taking advantage of that. And so throughout my fight camp and throughout me kind of understanding myself as a grappler and what kind of game I play, I definitely have come to terms that I'm going out for the sub, whatever it takes, wherever it is. I know when a lot of people ask me my favorite submissions, my answer is normally whatever I could get. And so that's what I continue to say because I'll hope to catch something that I like or that I think I do really well, and it turns out not even being it. So for me to finish kind of a rolling toe hold in the first match, I was like, oh wow. I was like, I don't really go for it because it's kind of one of those where it's like, if you hit it, wow, that's really cool. If you don't, then it's like I kind of did it for no reason. But whenever I try to keep an open mind out for what's gonna come to me. I don't really like forcing things. I'd rather just let it come to me and then me take advantage of it. And I just felt a wobbly foot and I was just like, I'm gonna go for it. I'm on my Medusa, so if nothing else happens, I can at least say that I've been here. So, but thank God it all worked out. So
I think that's so great. You do bring up a good point, which is specifically with toe holds, there is sometimes the possibility that they have an equal chance to attack your foot as well. But I
absolutely,
like the fact that you recognize the position. You probably did some form of risk calculation and then literally threw out the window all of that and just said, hey, I'm on Medusa, so this is going to be flashy and we're going to do this and we're going to do it big. And, it's cool because it's part of the reason why we've been cheering on these female led events is because I always feel like when females get an all card together, they don't even have to say it out loud. They just look and say, we better put on a show. And
yeah,
it is so refreshing because, for years they didn't have an EBI for females. And then they finally did get one. And then it seemed like they were starting to take away that. Then it became, do we have a combat jiu-jitsu for females? And they kind of dipped their
yep,
toes in that. And for me, I'm stoked that we were finding out that yes, EBI is going to return, but that you guys looked like you were leading the charge as to, hey, listen, you can still make jiu-jitsu entertaining and still
yeah,
get a good submission rate out of that. So I was very pleased to see that. I want to talk about your second match here because Vanessa, again, friend of the show, she's awesome. But when I saw that you were going to be having a match with her, all I remembered thinking was, okay, I know she fights MMA. I know you're fighting MMA. So just on paper alone, this promises to be a good match with some dynamicism. So what were you thinking after you pick up that first win and you're going to transition to your next match?
yeah. Honestly, it's funny because I mean, you can always game plan that. Okay, if I beat them, then I might have to go against them, or if that doesn't work, then I might have to go against them. So you could come up with 10 different game plans, but is it all going to work out? You don't know because you don't know who's going on. And so it was funny when I saw my side of the bracket, besides my first opponent, I actually wanted to fight Vanessa. Whether she won or lost, I knew she was good. I knew that she was strong, MMA fighter versus MMA fighter, your basic scrappy.
Let me just say what I'm hearing, because I'm gonna decipher the West Coast version of deciphering the East Coast version.
Yeah.
Is that it almost sounds, and I know this is not what you mean, but it's like no matter what, I was gonna fight her. If it was gonna be in the parking lot, I was gonna find her, and I was gonna be like, "Yo, I respect you. Let's fight outside."
It's funny. It was funny because I was like, oh, like, well, it's weird that we're meeting in like a jujitsu stage. I was like, I kind of would rather MMA, but I was like, I'll take this. I was like,
Right.
this is gonna be fun. Um, but yeah, I was excited for like a scrappy match. I know jujitsu girls bring it. No doubt about that. But there's a certain touch when your opponent does MMA that they bring to it. And so I was ready for it even beforehand. I just really wanted to test myself against her. I was like, she's really good, and win or lose, like I would be so happy to share the match with her, and I honestly was. And so, must I say, she is the strongest 115er I have ever felt. Even going with a lot of 145ers in that tournament, she was strong. But honestly, throughout the match, again, I'm looking for the opening. I'm not forcing it. Um, I saw an armbar, and again, very strong of a human. I was using like 100% strength, and I felt like she was using like 5%. And so I slightly started to feel like I was getting worn out. And then I caught it, and then my mind kind of just snapped into gear, and you know, I was just like, oh my gosh, I can finish this now. I don't want it to go any longer than it did. To spend 7 minutes on the mat with her was enough, and I didn't want to spend any more than. Um, and yeah, when I took it, I was just, again, every time the match ended, I was in awe. I was like, wait, it happened again. You know what I mean? Like, I can't believe I did this. You know what I mean? And like, seriously, thank God, because I knew he had a plan going into Medusa. I never take any opportunity for granted, and I know there's, beyond just the surface of what I'm getting. I know there's a greater plan, and so yeah, when I realized I was going to the finals, once that match won, I couldn't wait to see who it was going to be against. And so yeah, I was super grateful to have shared the mats with her. We actually wound up hanging out afterwards and like getting something to eat and just like just getting to know each other. It's really, I enjoy jujitsu so much when you could connect with the people and that they're just like cool, genuine people. Like to be able to fight and then walk off and be like, hey, you want to get something to eat? Like that made my trip, getting to know and learn so many different peoples and just like make good connections and create new training partners.
That's so dope. And I've had the pleasure of getting to do commentary with her, and she was good at that. It was really cool to see that she was able to translate a lot of her knowledge, and we have similar friends. So afterwards, I was just telling her, I was like, "Yo, you're really cool at this." I was like, "But obviously, don't screw the momentum on your fight career, because man, she is savage." I do want to know this though. So what is your approach or advice when you feel somebody that strong and then you get that moment where I think, like you mentioned, you can game plan, you can make all these ideas of where you'd like it to go. But what goes through your head that helps you to acclimate and then recalculate the plan as you're going into that?
Yeah. Honestly, I was expecting her to wrestle me, being an MMA fighter, which thank God she didn't, because that would have been a whole battle in and of itself. But yeah, I was expecting her to wrestle with me. I was happy that she didn't, because that is like a whole half of jujitsu taken away. And so at first, when I felt how strong she was, I was like, I knew right away it's just going to be a tough one. It might be something I'm just going to have to wait out. I'm really going to have to take my time with this. And, mistakes go from like 10 to like 2, because somebody that strong can just capitalize, especially in the match. I was in top side control and she rode me over twice. And I was like, wow. I was like, this never happens. You know what I mean? And at first I was like, I'm kind of embarrassed. I was like, I'm a brown belt. And she just like rolled me over from top side control, but like mistakes like that happen, like, I got over it and I was like, all right, well, I'm on bottom. I'm going to have to figure this out now, and so definitely kind of weathering out the storm, I think, is a really good strategy when you're going against somebody that strong. Not trying to go strength for strength, not until I caught that armbar did I really feel like I should put some muscle into it. I definitely believe, and I'm sure a lot of other people would say, is jiu-jitsu is a game of technique, and obviously strength and athleticism play a big role in that, obviously. But like even me, I started doing a lot of outside weightlifting and outside CrossFit and a lot of cardio. And just being able to eat right and just being a full athlete, I think that is really important going into a match with somebody that strong, that not trying to play strength for strength, but I accepted that, okay, she's stronger than me. I'm going to have to rely on my technique a lot more and wait for that opportunity. And when I see it, never hesitating and just going for it regardless.
That's great. That's absolutely a very good way of putting it. I always joke with the guys where, I try to be very technical in what I do because old. But when I'm working with people, I'll be like, hey, really try to be as technical as possible. If you're inside control, let's do this and this. And there's always one guy who just can Turkish get up his way out of side control. And I go,
yep.
Or be that strong.
And it's like one extreme or another.
Yeah. And then I go, listen, that works for some. And then all of a sudden I like pull him aside. Anytime somebody's that strong, I go, there's an armbar right there though. So if you get that, fuck him up. Okay?
Yep.
Let him know that he's way too strong. And they're always like, oh, okay, cool, Raph, no problem.
Yeah.
So
that's funny.
The thing that I like though is that, you're a young emerging talent. You're very good at what you do. But speaking of young emerging talents, like you versus Trinity on paper again is just like, okay, Trinity's amazing. I love her. I love her work as well. So again, sometimes you just have these feelings that might be the way things play out. I'm just sitting at home and I go, man, I think we're just pretty lucky that this is the way it plays out. We get to see two incredibly talented people and things worked in your favor. What were you thinking? Because now you started to mention at the end of your match with Vanessa, you're starting to process, okay, finals are going to happen.
Yeah.
It's within the realm of this is going to happen. So what is going through your mind now that you know your opponent? And were you watching her throughout the day?
Not me specifically. We're watching her throughout the day. My coach definitely was, but since we had a previous fight, I kind of knew what to expect. But again, expect the unexpected. You know, anything could happen. I knew what she might be going for or what her game plan might be. But again, we versed once before. Maybe she saw something in me that she could capitalize on, and I gotta expect for her to bring her A game even more so. Rematches are one of the hardest things to do. Because you both fought before. You don't know who has changed, who put more effort in this time. Who game plan, who studied their opponent better. And honestly, when it came down to it, again, I was excited. I was like, perfect. I was like, round two. Again, just because I beat her the first time, I didn't expect for 1 second that I was going to beat her again. Just like a lot of prayer before my fight, just asking God to give me the strength for this one. Being in the finals, going against Trinity, who I've went against before, the pressure starts to wear on a little bit, and I definitely run to prayer when that happens. And the minute we stepped on the mat, I was like, wow. I was like, you got stronger. Maybe it was because I only had like a few minutes between Vanessa and Trinity, but I was like, maybe I'm just feeling a little weak right now. Maybe you got really strong. Maybe it's a mix of everything. But I had a feeling that we were going to go against each other in the finals. When I saw we were on two different sides of the bracket, I was like, Trinity's going to do really well. She was definitely one of the top people that were favorited to be the winner, and I'm always excited to go another round and to just step back on the mat again. Did I expect for it to finish in a knee bar? No, definitely not. But I was definitely motivated to finish it in regulation, especially since I beat her in overtime last time. I wanted to win in regulation. That is just something that ran through my head over and over and over again with all my opponents, but especially with Trinity. Since again, I don't take a win in overtime as a win. I'll accept it because it is what it is. But I'd rather win through submission. And again, when we were 3 minutes in, and I really wasn't seeing anything, those different thoughts come and just like sneak in, and I'm like, okay, well, I only have, like 6 minutes left. I'm gonna have to. I know she's tough. Young, hungry, just like I am, really good and very flexible. So it's going to be hard to finish her with anything, But when I sat back for that knee bar and I realized I had it sunk in, I knew that I wasn't going to let her go anywhere. And at that point, I was like, I'm going. I was like, this is it. I'm coming down to having nothing left, and I'm going to put it all out there. And I did. And again, as soon as it was over, I could have sworn that it was by mistake. And I was like, there's no way I just won. And then I kind of just had to slow things down and take it step by step. And honestly, thank God for that. Seriously.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to describe this because we become so jaded to seeing people win a number of different things, especially with sports. But for me, it is always refreshing when I see somebody who I think would react the way I would, because even sometimes when I tap people and I go, wait, this guy's really good.
Yeah.
And then somebody will be like, well, do you think you're good? Not at all. But it happened. So I guess today I was all right.
Mm-hmm.
You have those moments where you kind of have to realize that, oh, okay, you're getting better. You're doing these things. And, you never want to cross that line of being too cocky or
Yeah.
anything of that extent. So I think a lot of that is based in humility and a lot of you just saying like, I respect my opponents. I respect their games and what they do, but I thought we were going to go for another 5 minutes at least, or some kind of crazy thing.
Yeah.
So I very much take appreciation for those cool moments when they do happen and seeing as they do. So what exactly did you win?
I definitely won the belt, and I think, I'm pretty sure because I had 3 submissions in regulation 3,000. So, and then that would be the most I've ever made doing jiu-jitsu, and I was like, wow.
So far, let's be very clear.
Hopefully it's more,
You're
but
super young, and we're going to get to talking about your MMA experience since we last chat.
Yeah.
Because, again, I see so much growth and development to what you're doing. I'm a little familiar with your team in terms of their output and what they do. So I think that's really cool that you are doing that. Did you get one message that surprised you from somebody as a result of winning? Like, do you have one reaction that stood out from anybody as a result of winning this?
It was hard to kind of tell, like who thought I was gonna win, who thought anybody was gonna win, and it's always hard to tell, but you could definitely see when people are for you and when people aren't. You know what I mean? And I think that's a big thing. And like for people who doubt me, I kind of use that as the most motivation possible. Again, like you brought up humility. I'm a big advocate for that. I think if you go into a match, like cocky and like you're 100% confident and you have no doubt, I think you're putting yourself almost in a worse place than if you had doubt. I think the doubt that I get sometimes fires me more, and I'm grateful for that. I really am, because every time, somebody has said, well, are you sure there's a lot of really good girls? And I was like, well, there's a lot of good girls anywhere I'm going to compete at this point. It's never going to be a ride in the park, and I think my game thrives when it's a tough match. I always like nitty gritty. I always like a tough, sweaty, like all in for it match. And I think that, although it didn't seem like any of my matches were that, like I wasn't like dying, you know what I mean? Like it was tough. It was absolutely tough, you know what I mean? But I wasn't like struggling, but each and every match I had a different battle I had to go through, whether it was mentally with doubt or whether it was just like physically with Vanessa, where it was just hard, you know what I mean? Like regardless, I think that, doubt is a good thing to have, because it'll fire you up more than, if I went in there knowing I was going to win, then when you don't, then it crushes you more, rather than if you go in with, I'm absolutely confident I was going to win that. But did I know? Absolutely not. Yeah. And when I knew people were doubting me and I could kind of tell who was and who wasn't, that just gave me that much more motivation to go out there and win it.
Good for you. I think over the years in doing, comedy and interviewing people, there are going to be people who surprisingly don't like you or whatever. I don't understand why people don't like you. I get why they don't like me sometimes. But in my particular case, it's always, especially when it comes to jokes and people want to do those, I guarantee you, none of you roast me harder than me. Like, I'm way harder on myself. So that's why anytime somebody does something or they do a joke, I go, okay.
Yeah.
And they go, yeah. And I go, because listen, dude, all of us who aspire to be good and better at something will go through those experiences of doubt and, man, can I do this? Am I going to be able to? It sounds so massive. I don't know. And I think the challenge is what really makes most of us get up in the morning to try and be that better. And So when I hear people try to take away from that in a very serious sense, not you joking or anything like that,
Yeah.
it just doesn't faze me. And I feel like you're on a great journey that we are getting to watch in front of us. So I'm very, very happy to hear that that is the mindset, because I know that will take you further, and they will get increasingly harder the more success that you get. But you have such a good level sense of, I want to put in the work. You know, I want it to be tough. I want to take the hard matches, so that way I can really feel a sense of ownership of, I did do this. So
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of that. I do want to ask about your MMA fight. So I do want to get to that real quick. But my last question on all the Medusa stuff is, I know your family, when they came out to Los Angeles, had a little bit of a good time. And I was so happy to hear that. Again, LA ambassador. But this time you were in, was it Cancun? Was that where you guys were?
Yeah. Yep. Cancun.
So how did the family feel about getting a little bit of time in the Cancun?
Oh man, I think honestly, like, I mean, I'm always there for business, but afterwards, when we're in Cancun, we only have like 2-3 days left, majestic resorts, all inclusive. We went straight to the buffet, and I got about 4 plates of everything I could possibly get. I think I was in kind of annoying the workers a little bit, because I was like, okay, just a little bit more, and they give you a scoop, and you're like, okay, just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. And so I came to a point where I was like, all right, maybe if I leave for 10 minutes and eat my food and come back, maybe they'll be a little bit more happy to help me out. But yeah, we winded up eating until, I don't know, hours. I just was eating as much as I could. I am a lover of food, and so anything I could get my hands on, I'm eating. And so yeah, after that, it was, when was it? That was Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday, we winded up renting jet skis, going out on the water. Crazy thing was, so my favorite animal is a shark. I've always loved them. And being in kind of the middle of the ocean, looking down, not knowing what's beneath you, all the flashbacks of Jaws and Shark Night and this and that are rumbling through my head. And I look to my right and I see a turtle, and I'm like, that's a massive turtle. I can only imagine what's even bigger that's underneath me. And so we did that. That was a blast. And then the next day, we actually winded up renting a boat, going across the water to an island. I touched a dolphin, not a shark. I wish it was a shark, but I'll take a dolphin and save my hand. So, and then we went snorkeling, which again, thought I was going to see a shark, was ready to kind of like kick jiu-jitsu into gear and see how that was going to work. But yeah, it was, it was honestly, it was a blast. I was so excited to, just be there, spend time with my family, and, beautiful Mexico, and just take everything in, just appreciate, God's creation and my family, and just appreciate the win that I was thankfully able to get.
Good for you, though. Your shark death wish is now high on my list of, let's keep her away from sharks during fight camp as much as possible.
See, I'm one of those that, like, as soon as I'm done with fight camp, oh, you want to go to the aquarium? That's my go-to. That is like a tradition that I want to go see a shark. I feel like I just try to kind of take on that, facade of just like, be an animal, be, aggressive, go after it. And yeah, I am like total shark mode.
I learn something new every day, and I feel like I have learned your love of sharks in a way that I was not prepared for, but I am continuously in awe of. All right, let's get to that question I had about your MMA pro debut. Again, you're somebody who I knew when we had talked. You had been working toward this, and obviously you've done some MMA, but what did it feel like to actually get the opportunity to fight as a professional?
It definitely felt like a next level experience, being on, a lot of high level jujitsu cards has always been fantastic. But being able to finally call myself a professional fighter was um it definitely brought me to tears. I started when I was 10, and it has always been my dream. Although I'm not quite there and my expectations for myself are extremely high, I can at least say I've gotten halfway there, and I can appreciate that, and I can appreciate, all the support that I've gotten, because I absolutely wouldn't have been able to do it without the people who are the backbone of what I do. And yeah, when I finally got the call and we finally signed that contract, it was like I really couldn't believe it at first, but then I was ready to do whatever it took to make sure I was prepared. I could almost say that I was probably overtrained for that fight. That's how much I wanted to, make sure I was prepared for it. I think I would do things a little bit different this time, but I am absolutely grateful for that experience, and I can't wait to see what's next, whether jiu-jitsu or MMA. Although I'm really hoping for MMA. That is my dream. That's my goal. And, I just, I'll take whatever I could get.
I mean, that was kind of where I wanted to go in terms of asking you, but it sounds like you are keeping all doors open on this one because, obviously you've got great momentum with jiu-jitsu, but I know your heart is definitely in that realm of fighting. So selfishly, I want to keep you on the jiu-jitsu side, but I will not be mad if we end up seeing you in an MMA fight because I think you have so much more to do and to give in that realm. But congratulations to you on that first win there as well. That was super dope to see. I also know you, and I don't know if people know this. I know you as perhaps the leading voice of Rose Namajunas. And
100%.
Since we've talked, she's had some pretty epic things happen to her. And I got to ask right now, how are you feeling about this rematch coming up in a few weeks on the 6th?
Oh, yeah. I am fully confident Rose is going to do what she did the first time. It's actually funny that you mention it because you won't believe this. I actually winded up, and I'm not really a fangirl of many people. I appreciate people, but I am a total fangirl over Rose. And so I bought VIP tickets to go see her in New York City, and I finally met her face to face for the first time. And must I say, we did a face off, and I've never been like, wow, she's really scary. I looked at her and I was like, I'm not ready for this. Give me like another 10 years. Yeah, she winded up signing my first pair of Invicta gloves. And knowing that she's come from Invicta is a huge motivation. Knowing that if I work hard enough and I put the time in and the effort in, that I can be where she is. And so, yeah, I am definitely all Rose all day. I think she is just one in a million and has just a God-given gift. So I'm definitely hoping she wins this. But yeah, I think she will. I really do.
I am so happy to hear that you got to meet her because I don't think I've been rooting for anybody more than you to meet her specifically. I know a lot of people are fans of hers, but just listening to the way that you were talking about her, it's hard to explain this, but there's always fans, but then there's an element when you're a fighter of saying, I really look up to your work and the body of work that you provide. And sometimes I feel like fighters can see themselves actually going down a path because others have paved certain ways for them. And you struck me as somebody when you spoke so eloquently of her that you were saying these nice things that I go, man, I really do hope she meets her. I mean, it seems plausible given the fact that you're in MMA. At some point you kind of run into each other, but man, if that is not money well invested, I don't know what is. So kudos to that. Hopefully next time you even get to see her in different circumstances, but
yeah,
I think it is pretty dope that that happened for you. So I'm really, really happy that happened.
Thank you.
As we start to circle and start to get to a close, I wanted to ask something, which is, you mentioned that there are 5 members, brothers and sisters that you have. Like, there's you and 4 others, right? Or is it 5 more?
Yes. There is 4 more.
Okay, 4 more. Okay. And everybody trains, right?
Everybody.
Wow.
Yep.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Now,
So my older sister, so I kind of started when I was 10. My sister joined with me. And she ended up not liking it at first. She came to one of my matches for submissions on the shore, and I think something just clicked with her, and yeah, she just started training. So
she's a year in, and you were telling me this off air, but you were saying that she is undefeated as a blue belt, which, yikes. And you've been working on an Instagram together. So what is going on that Instagram, and what are you guys doing on that?
yeah, so it was a pretty crazy idea that I just said, like, you're really good, you're undefeated. I think I'm somewhat good. Let's, like, put it together. Let's be like Batman and Robin. And so yeah, we posted and created a Killer Clients page that not only is just me and my sister, but it's our whole family. It's my 2 younger brothers and my youngest sister. My mom has been doing a little bit of jiu-jitsu, which is very scary.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yep. So she's been doing some, and I haven't been training with her. She has been, going on and doing her own thing. I'm a bit, when it's like that family dynamic, and it's like, am I going to let my mom beat me up?
Yeah.
Am I not? You know what I mean? So I just hold off on that part. And my dad boxes, so we just come from a family of just combat athletes, and yeah, we post a little bit of technique, just a little bit of our lives, a little bit of jiu-jitsu, just trying to be as genuine as possible, although my main focus is jiu-jitsu. I do have a life outside of it, as well as the rest of my family, and I like to incorporate that into everything I do, that as much as I'm focused, trust me, when I'm done with that win, I am more than happy to go and put my face in a buffet of food. So it's always good to see.
I'll be real honest with you. Your finishes were impressive. Your MMA, impressive. I think I might be the most impressed by your ability to put down some food, because I definitely am the person that people call after they compete, because they know I'm going to eat well. So they're always like, where are you going to eat? And I go, let's go get a full pizza. Let's go just crush this.
Yeah, it's always kind of my first idea, like, especially when it comes to breakfast, I can hit a good breakfast spot. I'll let other people take the wheel and lunch on dinner, but like, I gotta be the one that says, we gotta go here for breakfast. There's just a something thing you see. There's something special when you see it in their name and like pictures and reviews, and it's like, it's gonna be good.
Good for you. You know what? I'm so proud of you leading the charge on the breakfast train, because that's the one I kind of skip, mostly because I don't eat before I train, but I do like breakfast. It's just I just tell people, I'm like, yeah, I don't want to have a great big breakfast before I go train. But when I just moved places, I was on a mission to find the best breakfast burrito. And I've literally told people, like, send them to me. Send me the places that I need to go. And I have investigated it. And I've had so many different Postmates who have come in. And if I have had the same driver at any given time, I'm pretty sure they're like, dude, this guy has to give it a rest. There are too many breakfast burritos. But I'm still on that quest, because I found a lot of good ones. But I like that quest. Oh, wow.
So how long has that quest been going on? Is it somewhat recent? Is this like a 5-year thing?
No. So we just moved from North Hollywood to Burbank, which is really just 5-10 minutes away.
Yeah.
Not very far. But there was a day when I finished moving. I'm lying in the bed. I've been just nonstop moving between work and all this other stuff. And I go, I just really want a breakfast burrito. And I sat there for 20 minutes trying to pick one. And I go, why is this so hard? And then I realized, you know what? I'm on a search. There's a place right next to us, right within walking distance.
Meant
They
to be.
do $6 for a giant burrito filled with
Wow.
beautiful stuff. Only little criticism, a little too much potato. So
Okay.
that's my one thing.
That's not half bad though.
But for $6, I'm like, yo, take it. I'm like, I like show up. I'm like, this is a cheap ass good burrito. And yeah, so I've just been mixing it up and finding, and I've had some degrees of success. But as I mentioned, if it's between jiu-jitsu and breakfast burrito, I will choose jiu-jitsu. Because
that's a good choice.
So let's just say this right now. We're going to put a close to this conversation. I want you to give an opportunity to plug your different social medias where people can find you. But I just wanted to make sure that people understand that, like, if they have not watched your stuff, go watch Medusa, first of all. Let's support women's jiu-jitsu. Number 2, get excited about what the future holds for you, because I just see good things, and great success, I think, follows those people who are truly humble and really bust their ass, and you strike me as both. So, floor is yours. Go ahead and plug where people can find you, all that good stuff.
Yeah, you could definitely find me on Instagram and Facebook, Fatima_Kline, and I actually just hopped on Twitter as well. Don't mind me, I'm not that good at it, but Fatima_Kline7. So yeah, follow me, follow Killer Klines, look at me and what my family are up to, and yeah, support women's jiu-jitsu. You know, it's a growing sport, you know, for definitely male and female, but I think, you know, females are starting to step up their game, and, you know, just put as much support into that as possible.
Absolutely. Thank you for being so great. I always enjoy chatting with you, and I'm already looking forward to the next time you win something so that we can catch up. But you are a delight. Tima, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm sure we'll talk soon.
All right, everybody, stick around. We've got more Grappling Hour coming up. Before we get to our interview with Keenan, I just wanted to take a moment to encourage you to go check out the New York Times article about the cyborg and fight sports situation. I know there are a lot of times when people want to brush this stuff underneath a rug. I know that it has been posted multiple times by prominent people within our sport, but if you haven't taken the chance to actually sit down and read it, I highly encourage that you do it. It has not only expanded upon the great coverage from our friend Avery Clements, but it is also giving, I think, some new details that maybe didn't come to light earlier. If you do this sport and you care about the people you train with, I highly encourage you to read it so that you can figure out ways that you can have this discussion at your gym and try to figure out better ways that you can conduct all of your gym's practices. This is not to say that your gym may be responsible for this sort of a thing, but being proactive is probably the one thing that we can take out of this situation so that hopefully it does not become a larger issue. So I hope that you guys take the time to read it. I know you've seen it in multiple Instagram stories or shared on your Facebook or other social media, but I think it is important to read. Our last guest today, he's an old friend of the show. We've known him for a very long time, and it is very cool to see that during the pandemic, he did open up his own gym. Now, before any of the pandemic nonsense happened, I really did want to go down to visit him, and I had made plans, and of course, pandemic changes, all that sort of stuff. So I had to take some time before I was able to make it on out to Legion Jiu-Jitsu. And I got to tell you, I was pleasantly surprised by what I saw there. It is an incredible gym. I think Keenan's done a great job. He's got great students and teachers, all of whom were spectacularly nice to me. I hope that you guys enjoy this interview with Keenan Cornelius. Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here with Keenan Cornelius. He is hosting me at his gym here in beautiful San Diego at American Jiu-Jitsu headquarters, Legion Jiu-Jitsu.
Basically, we represent all of America, yeah. And behind us is the Jiu-Jitsu X studio, which we have within the Legion headquarters where we film instructionals. Yep. So thanks for being here.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thanks for having me.
And listen, it's very easy to have you in your own place.
True.
So
you did just show up.
I did just show up and commandeer part of your space.
Yeah.
We were saying off air that the last time we ran into each other, there are some bitter feelings on this side, but I would like to explain my bitter feelings.
Yeah, so it was outside some venue at the 5 Grappling event, like you said, And I don't recall exactly what technique you named. I think it was the gubber guard.
I did,
right?
yeah.
Maybe, but there might have been more. And I used the move, and you named it, and then I somehow ruined the name or changed it or stole it or did something. But I don't
You
recall.
didn't ruin it. It was just beautiful. I
What
looked
was
at
the
it.
name?
It was Gubber Guard.
So, okay.
And then you decided, you're like, ooh, I like Goober Guard. And I said, I don't really care. I just want 10% of the cut. And you were like, And then I said, you know what? Listen, I'm going to pull you aside at one of these things. And I want to say, I
did
pulled
you really
aside.
invent the name gubber guard?
It's on tape. This kind of rubber guard that you're doing. And it was with the lapel. Do you have a name for this?
I don't have a name for it, but actually Jamil showed me that when it like a green belt a long time ago.
Interesting.
Yeah, back when I trained at Lloyd Irvin's. Jamil showed me that behind the back grip, and I use it from close guard sometimes, so that's not my move.
It's okay.
But I play with it.
Do you want to take it and I can name it for you?
No.
Because listen, trademark, the Gubber Guard.
The gubber guard?
Yeah, the Gubber Guard.
Interesting.
The Goober Guard.
Goober.
Call it whatever you want. We can work it out in post.
I like goober guard.
You like Goober Guard? Okay. Because all I know is I kept looking at it and everybody was like, what is that? And I was like, it's the Goober Guard. I'm going to talk with Keenan. We'll have a video out by Monday. So no big deal. No pressure. Just make it good.
Okay, I'll work on a good system from there.
I tried to find that video earlier, but I couldn't find the interview because I remember that was the last one we did. We should cut that in.
We will 100%
That's a moment in my history, at least.
Well, yes, our shared history.
Shared history.
I was more so just one of those things where I said, hey, listen, in private, I pulled you aside. I was like, hey, listen, we got like Verbal Tap 300 coming up. And I would message you. And I was like, for the love of God, just message me back. And you would like not message me back. And I was like, listen, kid, I'm willing to give up my rights on this to get you on episode 300. And I didn't hear back. And there's one thing I do hate about jiu-jitsu people. It's being put on red like I'm a psycho ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, bro, listen, just appear on the show for 5 minutes and then go away. And we didn't get you on. So now I had to come and stalk you in full.
I avoided you for 4 years, 5 years. You finally found me. You came to my address.
I did.
Cornered me in my own studio.
Yep.
And here we are.
And I have locked you in
Locked
a
the
room.
door.
Yeah.
There's 18 cameras pointed at me right now. I should say I know the pain now because as someone who now messages athletes and tries to get them to come film here, I'm also left on red. My favorite, though, is the heart. Just like a little heart, like the message, ignore, and that's it. So I feel your pain. But I also remember, athletes are just single-minded little cretins. You know? That's just how it goes. So my apologies.
It's fine. Again, we've moved past it.
Yeah.
And again, I've mentioned this with a lot of things in jiu-jitsu. We're generally rooting for you. So we want you to do well. I want you to create something fun. So when people were coming in like, yo, did you see that new Keenan DVD? I was like, seen it. I named it. And the worst part is because these assholes are like, fuck off, you didn't name it. I'm like, there's video evidence of it.
Right.
So the only thing I try to taper is like, I want to make sure it's playful, but that people really don't think I hate you. So it's a weird balance because I think like one of the meme pages or one of the content generators said, "Whoa, this is not okay, Keenan." And I was like, "Well, we're not really at that stage. I'm not doing litigation here because they would laugh us out of court for the money that jiu-jitsu makes." So
yeah, I think I've looked into some of the court cases around technique namings because it is actually something I kind of have to know about. And there's actually a yoga case that basically ruled that no one can own a body movement or the name of that movement. It would be like owning a dance move. So that's why I stole your name because I knew legally.
You went to go look it up too.
Yeah, you
Damn
had there was no precedent set for your accusations.
That's right. You know what my legal team is? I've got ownership in the streets.
Hell yeah.
So that accounts for something.
And I mean, I'm admitting to it right here.
That's
right.
fair.
And
That's fair.
that move has actually been contributed to by a lot of people because the first time I saw the actual basic move was actually Jamil Hill in 2013. He was like a 14-year-old green belt and he did the move. And then I was like, that's a sick move. And then I added a bunch of attacks off of it. But I don't claim to have invented that move.
Sure.
I just popularized it maybe.
It's fine.
And you made the name, and I did the moves in competition, and Jamil came up with the seedling.
It's a real team effort here.
Yeah, it's a group effort.
So I think that if people are going to go back and watch that footage, one thing I would really encourage them to like take in as they're watching it is the amount of water you're crushing.
What are you saying?
I mean, I've seen better.
because as I'm doing the bits and the jokes, there's just you like sucking the air out of the water bottles mid-interview. And it's so hard for me not to just ignore the topic and do bits on that.
Yeah.
But I go, I'm going to let them live. I'm going to stay on this.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Post-competition interviews, I mean, I was thirsty. I need to hydrate.
Did you ever like post interviews? Are you not a person that enjoys that? Because the impression I get sometimes is that people want to go home. And I'm for that.
Yeah.
But I think they take the one thing that is not super professional about our sport, and that other sports, if you win a Super Bowl, you don't just go home.
Right.
Like someone talks to you. So that's always been my wheelhouse is I want to come give you your due. You did something great, so I'd like to talk to you about it. The impression I get, because most people don't do that, is always, the fuck does Raph want? God damn it. I don't really want to talk to him.
I think just athletes in general just disdain media stuff.
That's true.
Because we just think we're just really self-entitled to, like, I did the physical act. That should be my job. I should be able to leave now. But I also appreciate like the opportunity to kind of like speak and be, put out there. So no, it's fine. I like them. Okay. I'm here, aren't I?
Well, yeah. I mean, now you're not post anything. This is just you hanging out.
I mean, I trained hard yesterday. It felt like a tournament. We have some battles in here.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this. This place opened right before
November 2019.
Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry.
November
I didn't have
4th.
that. I didn't remember the date as if it was one of my anniversaries, but you're looking at me with the disappointment of a wife.
It's on our
like,
t-shirts.
Wow, Raph. I'm glad that that's what you guys are putting out there. You opened November 2019. What is structurally changed for you for your jiu-jitsu now that you have become a gym owner?
It's been like this slow off-ramp, I would describe it as, like an off-ramp of my competitive career, because my responsibilities in the past were like, staying in peak physical shape, not getting injured, training super hard, focusing on technique. And then it slowly just gets replaced with like managing staff, teaching more, doing marketing, figuring out front desk systems, figuring all that out, figuring out all the Jiu-Jitsu X stuff. But what I noticed is it instead of battling every day in the gym against these other high-level athletes, like the other teams I've trained with, I was able to kind of focus on teaching, which has a totally different perspective of how you think about technique, because you're no longer just like instinctively doing it yourself. You got to explain it to people who don't necessarily have the experience or even coordination to just do it right the first time, I mean. And I actually did one tournament post-gym. I think I actually competed twice, but the tournament was Europeans. And it was one of my best performances, training with just like white belts and a few, brown belts that I had at my team at the time. And it was a little different, but nothing's really changed. You know what? I don't do lapel guards anymore. That's the biggest change. Yeah. I don't play with the lapel. I don't think about like adding more moves to it as much.
I'm just gonna mute this real quick.
Yeah,
we don't need.
true.
We're done here. Wow.
Honestly,
okay.
I'm anti-lapel guard now. I
But
don't
why?
like lapel guard.
I've bought DVDs about that.
And I think it's still valid.
Okay.
I think you should learn the moves. They're good to know. But I created a monster, and I look back at this Frankenstein creation, this perversion of what jiu-jitsu was into what it is. Mm-hmm. And I can't help but think that maybe the world would have been better off if I had just never done that.
Oh, God. All right. Get out of here. It's a wonderful life.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that you understand that I always have the best jiu-jitsu from 5 years ago when it comes to instructionals. Mm-hmm. So when I look at this, I'm just learning your stuff now.
Okay.
And you're telling me,
it's over.
You know, Raph, it was a good ride.
Yeah. I think it's like now something that people need to learn in the gi, but I think it's sort of like I hate to say the word wormhole, but it's a bit of a wormhole that sucks you in, and it's just so powerful. Like people think this is like a marketing thing, but it really is just such a powerful position that people get sucked into it, and then they only do that. We've got a guy here. He was in the bright fluorescent orange gi. I don't know if you saw him, but
yes, he was hard to miss.
Yeah, he was a white belt that I met at a class I did at some other gym a long time ago. I showed him the lapel. I was like, yeah, you can like wrap it around people's heads. You can wrap it around their leg. And to this day, he came to my gym. He's been training here for like 2.5 years now. He has only done lapel guard. I can't get him to do any other moves. Every time I roll with him, it's just like lapel this, lapel that. He's wrapping around my head, around my wrist. I'm like, bro, learn some other jiu-jitsu. He's like, no, I'm only going to do this. This works for me. You can't make me do anything else. So it's sort of a shortcut to like, you can become competent in any room if you learn the lapel guard quickly. Mm-hmm. And I think in general, people should probably learn more.
It's a pretty wonderful thing, though, to have it come back in full force. It's like having a kid and they say, you know, however you are, that's how your kid is going to be. With this kid be like, you're not my dad, you can't tell me what to do, and I'm just going to do this lapel guard till I want to die. I don't even care.
Yeah, that's how I was. I just did the lapel guard. Yeah, I get it. I get it. I just am kind of jaded to it now, maybe.
Okay.
But I still appreciate how people play it. There's been some, there haven't really been too many new moves added to it since then. It's a system like any other one, yeah, like leg locks, whatever.
How have you enjoyed the actual teaching side? Because obviously you've always been teaching, but now you really get to focus in on it, and that has become something that you kind of are overseeing for not just yourself, but like a development system for your people.
Yeah, I think what I realized is that if you're just getting all of your jiu-jitsu information from one perspective, it's not as helpful as having a lot of perspective. So I think the internet helps with that a lot, obviously. But what I do here at Legion is I have a lot of different instructors, each that kind of specializes in an aspect of jiu-jitsu that I'm not exactly the best at. Mm-hmm. So I kind of like bring in people of different styles and types and body types, and then we have a little bit of an inverted classroom situation where we kind of let everyone drill and practice the moves they want to learn, and then we have the classes set up in a way that if you want to learn more about like a specific style, maybe you're really interested in, front headlocks and, top game or in half guard, like that's what Sloan's class is about. If you want to learn more of like the tricky, leg entanglements, leg entries, fancy no-gi, spinning shit, that's Salazar. If you want to learn a little bit more classic jiu-jitsu, maybe Andres is that guy. And I teach a little bit more of just my, unique style, my techniques that are sort of just floppy and weird, and I teach that stuff. So I always think about jiu-jitsu, like if you imagine jiu-jitsu is like this complex shape and it's got all these facets and intricacies, I can only view it from this angle, but your perspective is going to see something totally different than what I see. And so if we can have a lot of people kind of like describing this weird meta entity that exists that is the jiu-jitsu technique system. Mm-hmm. If you have a lot of people describing it, it just gives people a bigger view of the overall board.
That's fair. Because there's a lot of stuff.
Does that make sense even?
Yeah, it does. And I'll tell you why. Because there's certain parts of your instructionals when I go, well, he's clearly just tall, so fuck this. So I just move past it. But I very much applaud you for it, because I look at you and I go, damn, that works.
So I'm sweating. And I want to show you one of the key features of this studio, which is that it basically turns into a freezer. So I'm going to turn the AC on real fast.
Go right ahead.
I'll be right back.
This is a good time to plug. If you guys are ever in lovely San Diego, you definitely want to come out to this Legion Jiu-Jitsu gym. It has beautiful effects, beautiful amenities. I think he's trying to escape the interview. I'm just going to steal some of his shit. Oh, look at that. That is spicy. Very nice to get air conditioning on a whim. I guess the question is, why no air conditioning lever inside of the room? I guess that's going to be the first question we ask him. But this is a nice time to come and say, Keenan, also, you're fine. It was very nice to give me a coconut water. I appreciate that. Normally I'm drinking beers with people, but I think this is a little more apropos for you.
I'll bill you for that later. No, just kidding.
Damn it.
Right below the AC. Shit. Is that going to mess up the mics?
Nah, it'll mess it up very slightly. It's all right.
Just ruined your whole show.
It's all right, kid.
We're going to be nice and chilly, though.
Honestly, comfort is way more important to me than good audio these days.
I've never turned the AC on and sat in this specific spot. I'm sorry.
I also know that you haven't just done a podcast from this exact spot here.
Yeah.
So understandable that would not be the first. I think use a noise gate of some sort.
Okay, so
to do that
there's more about the AC I want to tell you, though, because we built this studio specifically trying to optimize for issues that I experienced from filming for 7 years, because I was filming for myself for Keenan Online for so many years, that I know one of the pains of filming is sweating when you have to film for 2 hours or something. You just get really hot. I was like, we got to have a cool environment for these athletes, otherwise it's going to be uncomfortable. So we have this like ridiculously powerful AC system, and it gets so cold in here. It's crazy. And I know the audience can't experience this, but I'm actually very proud of it because it's something that every athlete really appreciates when they come in. It's such a subtle thing, like having good AC while filming. That, and if you hear that F-22 fighter jet going overhead, you notice you can only barely hear the sound of its jet
Have you
engine.
insulated this pretty well?
It's also heavily insulated.
Oh, very nice.
So a little forethought that I'm just happy that I didn't, a year in think, I really wish I had insulated it and had AC also.
To be fair, I'm proud of you too, because these things matter to me. I was going to try and, we just moved, kind of soundproof my room. And then I just got this system. And honestly, with 2 dogs, it's really muted them pretty well. So
Yeah.
thanks, Rodecaster. Sponsor us.
All right, sorry to just totally throw off the whole thing. Where were we?
I'll go back to it.
Okay.
Because we're talking about the overall idea of you now switching to being more
Right.
this elder statesman of the sport, a gentleman. I'm just
An elder statesman. I
Are
like
you
it.
not?
That describes me better than some other terms I've heard.
Oh,
Yeah.
what have people said about you?
I can't repeat them.
All right, fair enough. All right, I don't want
Mostly degrading.
I mean, were they me? Because sometimes I forget the jokes I do on people.
No, you've been pretty nice compared to the internet. The
Okay.
internet can be a harsh place, but
Have we ever done a joke about you that got back to you that you were like, nah?
no, I don't care
Okay.
if people think
I'm
yes.
just, I want to make sure.
No, I didn't hear any.
I have a policy on the show, and this is something I've said since day one, which is I won't do a joke on our show that I wouldn't do to your face. And there have been a number of jokes I've done to a number of people directly to their face. And I have to say that's the thing I've missed most about doing like interviews during pandemic is that there was no sense of danger because I could do it from my room and be like, you're an idiot. Boom, got you.
Yeah.
And they'd go, sure. But there is an element of if I'm standing or sitting right next to you and I say something like, wow, Keenan, you've aged.
It's a true statement, but
You haven't.
I
You look
feel
fine.
a slight urge to just grab you by the throat. No,
It's okay.
It's all
I mean, the
good.
worst part is there's a very Dexter-like background over here where I could die, but that's
Yeah.
fine. At least I'd have multiple cameras.
Funny thing about this background, that this mat is actually not a mat. It's actually a pond tarp.
What?
Yeah, it's hard to find vinyl of the proper sizing, so I had to look up pond equipment. I found a white vinyl pond liner, but it's actually the same material they make mats out of. Just interesting thing. If you ever need strangely sized vinyl for a mat space, you can look up some pond equipment.
It's super cool, and I want to compliment you not just on this room, but like the whole place looks amazing. It has a very nice style. Everything's spaced out super well. Like, I really did want to come visit you way earlier and just kind of see the space for myself, get a vibe of it, and I'm super impressed. The details from the locker room to the way that you've staged out both your weight section. It looks like a cafe in part of it too.
Yeah.
And like, there's just a lot of cool effects that it feels like when you walk through.
Yeah, so it's a team effort, obviously, as most things are. For the last few years, we have like a team of people that does this now. It's not just me, obviously. I just I write the checks basically.
Sure, but pass it on to the team.
Yeah. So my girlfriend chose the interior design, the locker rooms. This obviously was a group effort as well. But yeah, I'm really proud of what everyone's done, and it's great to be a part of it, honestly.
Yeah, man. I mean, I looked at this and I've been seeing the Jiu-Jitsu X. It's a little weird, I will tell you this, to go from, hey, you went from being on the Keenan list to Jiu-Jitsu X. And I was like, what the fuck is this?
It's a weird transition, yeah.
It took a second because it was an email that was telling me this. And it was
Right.
like, you're already subscribed. And I go, am I? And I wanted to be like, Keenan, what the fuck is this, dude? What am I getting? What did I sign
Leave
up for?
on red.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, because it was like a transition process because I went from filming my stuff to trying to produce for other athletes because the main goal is to try and get these other athletes a way to monetize their specialized knowledge, right? So I was doing it for a long time, took that model, put it on Jiu-Jitsu X, and then to do that, I was like, well, I can't make this thing for all these other athletes and then have my own thing without going all in. I can't have these things be separate. So the idea was like, put it all in one place, make sure that I am just treating myself just like as another one of these athletes on this platform. No favoritism towards myself or anything. So we tried to like take the Keenan Online crew and just like shove them all into the Jiu-Jitsu X world. Like, you guys are subscribed here now, but yeah, it's kind of a bumpy transition.
What have you found that you have enjoyed about making these instructionals? Because you've assembled like a really good hit list of people. So was there a list that you started checking off, or was it just kind of like organically you'd see somebody do something like video wise and you go, oh, I want to work with them right now?
Oh, yeah, mainly I just told them about the plan. You know, I'm like, hey, I'm trying to make this thing. We're trying to do something a little bit different. The goal is to make you guys look good. Would you like to? I mean, the initial plan literally was just to have an alternative option, because jiu-jitsu, as you know, is very like monolithic in its infrastructure. There's certain groups that just own everything. It's like a big monopoly. So as an athlete and like understanding that I need to know how to leverage my talent and my skill to these businesses in a smart way to like get sponsorships and get deals and get fights and all of that. It's a difficult process. And the biggest thing is like having two offers. Like if I have an offer from one gi company and another gi company, it's like, well, hey, I'm just in the middle, guys. What's it going to be, you know? Yeah. So if you don't have that for instructionals, I thought that would be bad overall for the athletes that were doing instructionals. So I really started it just as a way to kind of let athletes leverage, you know, two businesses against each other so they can get a better deal. And I think that's probably the main thing. And I just enjoy that aspect, that even though it's subtle, people don't probably even notice, but I like that we've been able to provide, you know, a little bit of leverage to the athletes. Maybe they get a slightly better deal with another company. I mean, that's all this was about, is just trying to get people to make some money online.
Are you a hands-on executive producer? Are you behind the scenes going like, I need a bigger take from you? That was good. A little more energy. Also, I need a camera side left over this way, pan in a little bit more as it gets to the lapel here.
Initially, like the initial setup was like, okay, we got to have this angle. These are the things I want to focus on. Like make sure that the detail shot is like getting the grips in the right way, and make sure that the guys are facing the proper way. But eventually I kind of have to like, you got to be able to, it has to operate without you, right? Otherwise you're just working. It's not a business. So I'm trying to set it up in a way that makes sense. Now we're at a point where the system works, and I'm pretty happy with how things are turning out. So mainly I just pay bills all day now. That's it's literally, my life just exists in one big 2-factor authentication and like paying bills, and that's the life. That's my executive life. That's just at the moment, but maybe one day I could get like a executive assistant or something.
But think about it though. This is good news. This is progress.
Sure.
This is corporate Keenan, really, is what it's turned into.
Yeah, it literally feels like chewing glass and staring into the abyss. That's what it feels like to run two businesses at the same time. But that actually feels better than like going and fighting every 2 weeks to the death against, you know, some roided out monster that's trying to literally kill me.
It's true.
So evens out.
We won't name names because, you know, it's pretty easy to figure out some of them.
Sure.
You don't miss competing though.
I actually had a dream last night. I had a dream, and like in my dream, I was just out killing it in competition, and I felt so good, and I was like reliving these victorious moments in my dream, and I woke up and I was like, for a second, I actually got a text from one of the matchmakers that I know, and I woke up and the text said, I actually have the text here, I should just open it up, and he was like, hey, got a fight for you, December. And then I got another one from Fight to Win, and hey, we got a match coming up, are you interested? And I just left my bread, put the phone down, put my clothes on, came to work.
Typical Keenan.
So I would say I don't miss it, but the option's always there, you know? Taking a little sabbatical from competition, I think, is good. I'm deathly afraid of being like a hyper specialist in just jiu-jitsu. Like, I want to learn other things. I want to learn how to have other skills outside of just choking people in a really optimized manner. Like at a certain point, how much more effectively can you choke people? Like, I'm just gonna spend the next 10 years of my life like choking people slightly better. Like the skill progression at a certain point, you don't get that much better at choking people, you know? The progress slows down. It doesn't feel as good. Like, oh yeah, I think that squeeze yesterday, it was like, I think I tapped him in like 0.0001 second faster than the previous year. So,
okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. But does that mean we're going to see you doing a cooking show now? Like, what are you doing?
Good question. What am I doing?
Like, what do you want to do?
I don't know.
You came up with the idea of like, well, I'm probably going to expand my energy doing this. Well, what do you want to do?
I mean, I think you kind of have to have that. You got to face that. You know, you got to stare into the abyss a little bit. And like, what else is there? It makes you appreciate the things you do enjoy doing.
What are your other interests outside of this then?
Oh man, I have a lot of interests. Honestly, they're kind of nerdy things.
Okay, go on.
I mean, as you know, I nerd out. Oh, I used to nerd out about like production stuff. I like cameras. I like the audio stuff. I like computers. Working with different people in my businesses, I kind of learned more about like programming. I like learning about like how software and how those things work. That's not to say that I'm going to become like a coder or anything, but there's this huge swath of skills and skill sets that kind of like generalize your knowledge in them. It kind of lets you see the world and like how all the systems interact and like what jobs different people do to like make a larger structure, which is basically the job of someone who owns a business. Like you have to be able to do everyone's job badly, and then so you can find someone who can do the job much better than you. And you need that perspective. So I really enjoy like learning just general knowledge about things that interest me, you know? Also, I dropped out of school. Like I literally don't know shit about fuck, you know? Like I didn't go to school. So the last couple of years I've been like educating myself also, which I think more athletes should do, because jiu-jitsu really it's a very small sliver of what you need to be able to function in society. Mm-hmm. And it's arguable that you can even function in society with just jiu-jitsu. So yeah, I like to study stuff. I like to focus on these businesses. I like to try and help people organize help them with their brands, you know? Mm-hmm. You know, that's my interest, helping people build their brands.
Okay.
Building different, I don't know.
Well, you're making your way into entrepreneur land.
Sure.
So that's good. That is a different thing.
I'm not going to become like a painter or something like that. I don't
know, man. You sound like you're having a jiu-jitsu midlife crisis. And so you're just explaining it to me, and you're just like, man, I don't know, dude. I don't want to do something, but I need to do something else. Okay, well, what's the other thing? I don't know. Business.
I don't think you need...
Okay.
Business. Yeah, well, you literally can't be a professional athlete and do anything else. That's the first thing. The first thing is that professional athleticism has to go out the door if you want to do anything else. Because otherwise you're just going to be an unprofessional athlete and just lose, you know, if you split your focus in any other way. So I don't know. I think about it. There's no like direct path. It's just a temporary sabbatical while I learn other things and build some other stuff.
Does that mean we'll see you back at ADCC?
Yeah, if there was tournaments that I was going to do, it'd be like the big ones like ADCC and Worlds. But I would want to make sure I have a really good camp. Yeah. I've always been really paranoid about competing when I'm not like in really good shape and feel super crisp and got to have your mental game on lock. There's nothing more debilitating than going to a tournament and knowing you're not fully prepared and then losing and being like, it's because I wasn't prepared. I didn't do the thing. Right. You got to eliminate those excuses. So it's an all or nothing game.
I will be honest, and I think part of it is pandemic based. Part of it is you doing this. You've been busy. I get that. We do kind of generally miss you on the competition scene. So, you know, it's nice. Maybe you're building up that anticipation for us to miss you a little bit. But like, let's just be real. I mean, it's fun. I haven't seen you do things in gi for a little while, and that gets boring after a little while. So, you know, not saying you have to. It's just, it's nice to hear those things, I'm sure, occasionally, especially as you get to that age when people will see you in a master's division and be like, what the fuck, man? Why is he in my division? How did he get this old so quickly? This isn't fair.
Time flies, man. We've been doing this thing for a long time. Jiu-Jitsu when I started did not have anything that we have today. No. You know, I started competing full time in like 2008. I started training in 2006. We've seen entire jiu-jitsu metagames come and go. We saw 50-50 guard was like a new thing in 2010, you know? Like that was the move. 50-50 guard was like, whoa, 50-50, like that guy's playing 50-50. Oh wait, this sucks. And then it was like, oh, 50-50 is stalling now. Don't play 50-50. Are we gonna ban it? Then it was lapel guard. Or no, it was Berimbolo and then other stuff. Here's how I see it. If you're gonna commit yourself to like a career, you got two options. You can bow out on top, or you can just like ride that downhill slope and just like, you know, really try and spread that thing as thin as you can. Like, I got any more left? Come on, just one more match. Oh fuck, these 16-year-olds are killing me now. I think it's better to, you know, roll that momentum over into something that has some more longevity than your youth.
Sure.
You know.
as Ghost of Christmas Future, I'll just tell you, there's definitely more expiration dates that are coming for certain things. So while you can, definitely do the things.
Sure.
But I think that in terms of mental, I think that the break is good for you. I think it's been not just a recharge that allows you to kind of like see the game outside of the athlete perspective for a little bit. Because one of the things that I find when I talk to athletes is I don't assume I'm on their level, but every once in a while their mental game's off to the point where I talk to them and I go, what the fuck's wrong with you, man? Like, you have to set them straight a little bit, and it's mostly because you have an outsider's perspective. And maybe with a little bit of a interest in the sport from a different angle, you can tell them like, we're okay.
Sure.
So I think those things happen with a lot of the guys who just stay so in the grind that they end up hurting themselves in their longevity in that.
You can definitely, it's tough when you're just so focused on your mental game all the time. It can, less can be more sometimes. If you really focus on it, you can overdo it and kind of overthink everything. And really competition and professional competition in jiu-jitsu and any combat sport or any sport for that matter, it's really about just like being just like letting your animalistic instincts take over of just like fighting another human and not thinking. And it's really difficult to just not think. It's surprisingly difficult to not think, especially when your job, when you're not fighting, is to like think about how to fight better, you know?
I mean, it's one of my powers when I am doing jiu-jitsu is I go, I think good. And then I go, fuck, I can't rely on that. I have to get rid of it at certain points because you spend that time getting it, you just get speared, you get like literally taken down and go, that's not great.
Yeah. So the truth is, I think if you were to like distill why I took a little bit of a break, I mean, obviously COVID, I was competing up until COVID. Like I did a couple Who's Number One events. I did the Europeans of 2020. COVID hit, couldn't do anything. I hurt my back, couldn't do anything. I'm only just recovering from my back injury. Like I couldn't have competed if I wanted to. I tried to train for a fight recently. My back got hurt again. So a lot of it is like beyond my control anyways. So I just rolled with the punches, you know. Competition is very like up and down. Like when you're on, you're on. When you're off, you're way off. And if your money and like your ability to sustain your livelihood is connected to if you win or if you lose, it's not really a stable place to be.
Yeah.
If you're trying to like have a long term career and have I don't even know what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean?
I do.
Yeah. So it was a good time to set up two businesses at the same time. Right before COVID, just like, let's just start two businesses. Me and Miha were just like, you know what? Let's just start two businesses at the same time.
I thought you were going to punch him first and be like, I was like, I don't think that's a solid business plan. And be like, first we're going to fight, then we're going to come up with our plan.
That's actually how we do it. It's like we fight, and then after the fight, we're like, you know what? Let's do that. Let's make that happen.
Let's make that happen. All right. I want to be respectful of your time. I got one last question for you. And I think this is, I think it's a nice encapsulation of what we've been talking about. But for you in particular, because you've been around it for so long, I wonder now, what does jiu-jitsu mean for you because you've been around it for so long? Mm-hmm. Because you have this perspective of somebody who has been a young prodigy, had success. Mm-hmm. Now you're having success for other people. And when I see you coaching at different events, it's like you being like, Legion's going to come wreck in Texas this week. And I think that's dope. So you've had a nice evolution of many different things, including as a business owner. But what does jiu-jitsu itself mean to you now?
Jiu-jitsu, so when I started jiu-jitsu, I started training at like 4 years old. But when I was 14, I really started actually like paying attention, like, oh, this is pretty cool. I want to do this. And you just fall in love with the training, honestly. The training, the daily routine is super useful just for your mental health. It keeps you in shape. It kind of is your social life. Gives you a lot of structure in your life, especially if you're the kind of person who's a little bit all over the place and needs a little bit of direction and structure. So when I started jiu-jitsu, my intention was never to like fight and compete and like be good and like win a bunch of stuff. It was like, I just want to do this all the time. This is cool. This is fun. I like this. I want to kind of structure my life around this thing so I can do it as much as I can. And my base goal when I started jiu-jitsu was I want jiu-jitsu to at least be able to pay for my jiu-jitsu, which is that's a small goal, like pay your membership, right? Yeah. But then it turned into like, okay, I want this to be my career. Okay, now what can I do more with this? How can I grow beyond this other than just competing and being athletic? So now my view is kind of like opening a gym is an opportunity to get other people into that world and like give them an opportunity. Maybe this will help them in some way, kind of like give their life a little bit of structure and routine, and they can get all the mental and physical and social benefits of jiu-jitsu. So I've always thought of it as like, I mean, some people say like, oh, jiu-jitsu is kind of cultish. It's kind of like, it's like almost like a little mini religion. And it is in some ways, and yes, jiu-jitsu has some weird like cultish behavior behind it, but that's because it kind of hits all those marks of like, people can really live by this thing. It's like almost a way of life. So jiu-jitsu for me has always just been about that, like how it actually gives people a lot of value in just their day-to-day life and how they feel about themselves, and the sense of progression and the confidence and all of that. That's how I feel about it. Like I'm not as worried about competition, who's the best guy out there. I just wanted more and more people to have that opportunity, because think how many people are just stuck in front of their phone screens, just like living vicariously through it. Oh, I'm pissed now.
Wow. If you are watching this on your phone screen, thank you. That is important. Media consumption is important. Remember that every day.
Yeah, don't put down your phones too fast.
What's wrong with you? Just ruining the brand at the end.
But I mean, think about it. The pandemic, COVID, everyone had to be stuck on their screens. I mean, there's obviously a correlation between feeling bad and looking at social media. Sure. I don't think anyone argues with that. So a lot of people are saying, oh yeah, everyone's just going to live online. We're all just going to be in VR and no one's going to leave their homes. And it's like, that's the life we're going to live in. That's basically the plot of the Matrix, if you think about it. Like we're just moving into the pods slowly. So I think stuff with jiu-jitsu where it's like real life, in the moment, you're like around real people. You can't think about anything else while you're like battling some other human. It's like this meditative state. It's almost like an altered state of consciousness where you just can't think. You just have to like roll. And then after you're like tired, it just fulfills some like base primal shit. And people need that, you know? So I forgot the question, but
I know.
That's the
It's okay. I saw the eyes gloss over, especially once new shiny text comes in that you're going to leave on red, that you're like, I don't know how to, hey, listen.
That's what jiu-jitsu means to me. That was the question. You asked, what does jiu-jitsu mean to me?
Yeah, that is the question. It's also serving as your answer.
Right.
Just with a period now at the end of it.
I must answer your question with another question.
That's not even what you did. You literally made a statement. It just goes, add answer. And I go, oh, you know what?
I trained jiu-jitsu. Like I trained yesterday. I rested today because I have to battle some D1 wrestlers tomorrow who are going to kick my ass. Dude. So I still train as though I'm a professional athlete, just with slightly lower intensity so my brain can function.
Yeah.
Because one of the issues of training full time is I literally spent 10 years of my life like wake up, train hard as fuck, fall asleep, train again, fall asleep, wake up, train hard as fuck, fall asleep, wake. There's like a time warp of just mats and people like trying to choke people and getting choked. And then the only pattern interrupt was going to a tournament. Yeah. And you kind of have to get into this mindset where like, oh, training sucks. It's so hard. But when that tournament comes, I get to rest for like 4 days before the tournament. That's going to be awesome. And that's your whole life. Yeah. And you don't have the opportunity to think because like, literally, I don't know what your brain runs on. It's like fructose or something, right? Your brain burns calories.
We mentioned the part when he hadn't gone to school. Okay, go on.
I've also had some concussions. It's definitely deteriorating up here, but people know what this feels like. If you've trained really hard, you cannot be asked to do some sort of cognitive task. It's very difficult, especially if you've been training very hard for like weeks and months. Every piece of energy in your body is like going towards recovery. And I didn't like being able to do that. I thought I had more potential. Like I could use my brain for things other than, coming up with stupid things to do with a gi. And so that's kind of my motivation now too, is like, I want to train hard. I want to do that, but I also don't want to miss out on like all of the other things you can do, like creating interesting concepts and, trying to build a business or maybe doing more stuff like this, like podcasts where I speak. Well, maybe I should stay away from that. Yeah.
Well, that's why Matt Here's what So Matt Burton is dead.
Matt Burton's dead.
Okay. Well, I applaud you for doing as many. How many did you guys do?
I think we were up to like 50.
I thought so too. I thought, listen, you baby birds, you Hanger, you kids.
Yeah.
I don't wish ill of anybody, but I know how hard this is. So people were asking me, they're like, what do you think about it, man? What do you think? I was like, that's cool. I was like, they're going to figure out how hard this is. But the hard part is it's fun and then it gets to a grind. And just like in jiu-jitsu, you go, is this something I want to do professionally, or is this something I like doing just as my thing on the side? And knowing when I saw you do guests on the show, I go, oh, this.
That's where it kind of took a turn, honestly. We lost a little bit of the magic when we tried to because basically it was like, what else are we going to talk to each other about, Josh? Like, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Like, what am I going to say to you? We can only talk so much about jiu-jitsu.
Right.
And then the audience is like, you voiced an opinion that wasn't about jiu-jitsu. Go back, just stay in your lane. Only talk about jiu-jitsu. And then that made it like less fun.
Yeah.
And then we're like bringing other people in, and then the chemistry wasn't there all the time.
I mean, you guys, that's the one thing I will say about you guys. I thought you guys did have good chemistry. One of the funnier things that I got told, though, is people would go, yo, have you heard their show? And I was like, oh, yeah, I heard bits and pieces. I make sure to check in on everybody. They're like, dude, they're hilarious. And I was like, no. Bill Burr is hilarious. Keenan is a funny guy.
Yeah.
With a good sense of humor. And they're like, no, man, they're hilarious. And I go, oh, man. How do I put this in the proper perspective?
This is why laugh tracks exist. Just because we make each other laugh, people somehow think we're funny. Like if you can just laugh, if you laugh and smile on camera, people just automatically assume
that's
you're
true.
funny.
But I will say this: if you made it like through the 50, I can look you in the eye and call you a podcaster.
Right.
So
we had season 1. You know,
it's not to say there's limited returns. That's what people do now. So there could be a season 2.
For sure there could. Maybe just a slight format change. It just needs to change a little bit. But we filmed one like 2 weeks ago, honestly. It was like a month ago. We tried to
you tried to
reignite it. It just wasn't quite there. As we talked about, it's the setup. It's really the setup.
The setup sucks.
Setup and editing is just like such a pain in the ass. Unless you have to, and that's the thing. Once you start hiring crew, now it's a job. Now you have a requirement to be there in a certain time on a certain day.
Yeah.
Now you're structuring your life and your decisions around it. It's a little limiting. So
I get it, man. Again,
I would prefer just coming on other people's shows, honestly. It's a lot easier just like, I got some time today.
Oh my God. That's why part of the reason why when I show up on other people's shows, I was like, what time? All right, I'll knock out 30 minutes. I'll give you good stories. I got this, this, and this. We're going to give A game. But that's part of the reason
I have to start fiddling with these knobs. It's like,
You know what, though? I've also come to a certain point where I care, and then I have to cut off where I care. So, like, I want it to be the best looking, the best everything. One of the cameras already just kicked off. How do I know that? I heard it. Don't care. You know why? I've already got the main one here. Yeah. It's going to look less pretty, but fuck it.
What can you do?
I've got what I got.
Roll with it.
When you're a one-man band, it's what comes with the territory. But anyway, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to stop now. I'm going to say thank you.
Okay.
I'm going to say, people, come visit over this way. Keenan's gym, it is amazing. I think you will enjoy it. There's a lot of different instructors here, all very, very diverse in what they're teaching. And additionally, we will not wait another 4 years or so. It might even be 5. God, that might be before we do another one of these.
Yeah, I mean, I literally tried to hire you before this.
You kind of tried to hire me.
It was a lackluster effort.
It was like, honestly.
It's like, hey, do you want to help me?
It was literally you just being like, yo, what do you think? And I said, yeah, let's talk about it. And you go, cool. And then.
Cool, man. Play hard to get.
I understand what you're trying to do. The difference is like, while you're doing that, I'm still doing other stuff.
Yeah.
It's just when I get free time, I go, I will come. I will make my trip down here. I will find you. And I will make you do one of these
Please,
things.
God, someone help me.
Yeah, I know. Blink twice if you're in trouble. And also ask yourself, how would I put you in any danger? There we go. All right. Keenan, appreciate you, my man.
Thank you so much.
All right.
That was great.
Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be back in just a few seconds. One of the things that I want to do on this show going forward is share some videos of things that happen outside of either teaching or learning jiu-jitsu. Little slices of life that we see as we scroll through our Instagram. Take this video, for example. Our good friend Kody Steele didn't seem content being a boss this weekend over at Polaris. It seems there's more talent to him yet. Well, kind of. Take a look for yourself. Kody is doing his best impression of a ballerina, and I think that it's pretty impressive that he not only gets another Tackett brother to do it himself, but as that happens, he spins out of control. This is from a man who has incredible dexterity, when he's competing, but apparently if you add a spin element to any of it, crashes. Just goes to show people, it can happen to the best of us. Don't be like Kody Steele. Nail the landing. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for us. I hope that you enjoyed all 4 of our interviews today, plus the special guest appearance from our friend William Tackett. We thank him. We thank the good folks over at the Think Jiu-Jitsu game for allowing us to have some fun with our friends. And here's what I'm asking of you guys. If there are segments that you like, tell us. If there's interviews that you like, tell us. All that we ever ask is that you give a nice like and a share to all of us at Grappling Hour. If you like what you see here, follow us at Grappling Hour on all the major social media platforms. We're talking YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. Even you can find our podcast on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. So please give us some love. Give us some 5-star reviews. We love it. We appreciate it. And give us your subscriptions and follows. We truly appreciate y'all. And as we mentioned, if you guys ever want to say hello, feel free to drop us a line at Grappling Hour on Instagram, or just get into our DMs like you're Conor McGregor with Dustin Poirier's wife. That's going to do it for us, you guys. Thank you for watching Grappling Hour. It's been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mat.